All right, welcome to the Legendary Upside YouTube channel. My name is Pat Kerrane. You can follow all of my content at legendaryupside.com. With me today, Sackreligious. We're talking playoff best ball. Jumped in the gauntlet here. Underdog's flagship playoff best ball contest. Also planning to jump into some of the DraftKings flagship contests on this stream. Sack, how's it going?
It's going well. Had a late night, mining the DK draft rooms. I feel like in playoff best ball, the way I kind of treat it is if I'm getting a string of good rooms, like if the waters are warm, I'm just gonna keep swimming, baby. Like I'll just keep going.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Until they dry up, until it's like, okay, I got a bunch of people that are just blowing my stuff up every room. Like it's time to call it. But when you get into a good session, it's like you don't want to stand up on a heater, right?
Yeah, well, DraftKings is so wild that when you feel like you're, in a good spot where you're getting rooms that are just cooperating, it's tough to walk away. Now we've got the Legendary Upside Sidekick here, which you can check out at legendaryupside.com/sidekick. This is a sim-driven tool that helps us make better picks in these playoff best ball contests, which are really about, if you're new to this, it's about predicting the NFL playoff bracket as much as anything else, because the way this tournament works here, Underdog's Gauntlet Tournament, one of 6 of these teams will advance. And then in round 2, we're talking about the divisional round of the playoffs. So you need players who are actually live in that round. One of 6 teams advances there, one of 5 teams from the conference championship game. And then it's a 500-seat final in the Super Bowl. So you got to have players live in the Super Bowl. And you can see the drop-off here down to 500. The payout for 500 is $500. Now it's $25 entry, so winning $500 is decent return on your money. But first is $500,000. So we're trying to build teams that don't just get to the Super Bowl but are alive to take down the Super Bowl. We are on the clock. Do you want to take Puka or JSN?
I'm fine with JSN from the one hole. I mix it up. I'll let the sidekick basically tell me the frequency to mix that up at. It's been pretty hard with Puka from the one. He does fall some. I got Puka in the 3 hole last night, and you can you have an easier time getting Ram stuff to come back to Puka the later that he goes. And I do kind of like JSN here because it can set you up for some pretty good May stuff.
Yeah, so, I was about to say it's a little bit easier to do the Patriots with JSN because then you don't end up with a bunch of bye teams. And sorry for people. I never know with playoff best ball. Some people are like, at the masters level with this stuff, but people are also just diving into this. And if you draft teams that have the bye, it's a lot harder to win that 1 of 6 because your team's on bye, right? So you're probably just getting bounced. So it can end up being a Patriots-Rams Super Bowl and you're long dead. So trying to find ways, if it is at a Patriots Super Bowl and getting them through round 1 is tricky. And yeah, the Seahawks could be part of the solution there. Can I show you my mitten team? I don't know if it's too thin. Yeah. I don't know if you're going to be able to, I don't know how you'll show it, but if you,
if you're in the LegUp Discord, just throw a screenshot of it in there in the best ball channel. I'll take a look at it.
That is the best way to do it. Yeah. Seahawks 1 seed incoming. I mean, they are live for the 1 seed. That is true.
Oh, so we get sniped on Travion.
I know.
But I do like seeing Drake May at the top here.
I think we just take May, right?
Yeah.
And then Walker was probably who I would gravitate toward.
Yeah, you can choose to push Walker if you want. We'll see what the Sims do here. They probably flip him above Harvey, but it could. Yeah,
it goes to AJ Brown.
I think you can push Walker because his ADP is 23.9, and he's often uncontested. The JSN drafter is usually the.
You do have Charbonnet too if you want to play that Super Bowl. I know Walker's ahead of him, but it's closer than you'd think. So
right,
I really don't mind. What about Diggs here? I know Diggs is.
I would not do Diggs because this is a 1 of 6, and you're probably just going to be in too much trouble. The way I prefer to play the Patriots in this 1 of 6 stuff is like, who cares if I have Ramondre Stevenson or Kayshon Boutte as like my Patriots? The person who scores all the fantasy points for them, it's kind of like Josh Allen light. It's like, hey, Drake May is the thing that I need. And then whatever tertiary pieces I get, like, would I prefer the best one? Like, sure. But I mean, even Travion Henderson compared to James Cook is not the same like projection difference between the other players. Like the gap from James Cook to Ty Johnson or Ray Davis is so much larger than the gap from Travion Henderson to Ramondre Stevenson as far as how many fantasy points they'll score. So it just doesn't bother me as much getting sniped on the early Patriots skill position pieces where it would bother me there's not very many high projecting NFC pieces that go later in the draft, and you're going to need those to build out a team that can advance through round one and field a full roster with the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, 1 of 6 has Gauntlet always been 1 of 6?
No, there was a year that it was 1 of 6, and that was the year where it was the 2-1 seed Chiefs Eagles made the Super Bowl. Not the most recent one wasn't both 1 seed, if I'm remembering correctly. But anyway, it was double 1 seed made the Super Bowl. Maybe I'm misremembering the teams. And there were like 8 live teams in the finals, maybe only 7 out of like the whole 400 or 300 and something person final. And so the year after that, they switched to 2 of 6 because I think they got a lot of feedback from people saying, oh my gosh, I couldn't even field a full team in the Super Bowl. Oh, it's too hard. And so then they go to 2 of 6. And really it's like, dude, who cares what, like, all it is you're adjusting your strategy. I do think the 1 out of 6 is probably better for the better you are at the game, the better 1 out of 6 is for you. Because it's a tighter needle to thread, and being able to be, have that degree of precision is something that I think is tough to do.
No, this was pretty clean, I would say.
Yep, super clean, the cleanest.
So I'm kind of curious. I'll take Walker first just to.
I think it'll still be Diggs.
I think it'll still be Diggs on top, but I kind of want to see. Yeah, there we go. So Diggs, it felt really clean that we would just take these 2 guys, and Sims agree. So the team so far: Drake May, Kenneth Walker, JSN, Antonio Brown, and Stephon Diggs. So right now we're pretty clearly playing Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl. However, if we do end up with a Ramondre or something like that, we could end up playing with the Eagles as well. So we could. Now this has us building out more of the Seahawks Super Bowl. So this is the Sims versus the brain, right? My brain is like, well, Patriots are going to the Super Bowl, but we have the opportunity to actually build out Seattle goes to the Super Bowl and maybe faces alternate AFC teams as well. So that's kind of the fork in the road, I would say, with this build.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You're going to need to advance. Seahawks are basically, there's not going to be a super meaningful difference between the other NFC pieces you could take from a projection standpoint and the Seahawks. Some might project a little better from the raw fantasy points, but have much lower probability of actually making the playoffs than the Seahawks. And so you do need that. And then also you don't have too much room to fill up on AFC pieces to try and help you advance, because in an ideal world, you get that 4th Patriot so you can fill out the Eagles Patriots. And then you get at least 5 Seahawks. So you have a full Seahawks Super Bowl in whatever Seahawks outcomes happen. Right. And so that's ideally what you have. And right now you already have one-off, right? You've got AJ Brown. And so 4 Patriots, 5 Seahawks only leaves room for the one-off. And so that's kind of the way that I would conceptualize this, and why it kind of is leaning away from, like, we didn't see, some of the other higher projected AFC pieces popping up to try and advance us.
So Charbonnet and Darnold does feel like the cleanest. Ramondre, gives us the potential to go for more of that Patriots-Eagles Super Bowl. So
I think you can push Charbonnet, because I never get sniped on Charbonnet. So I think you do Darnold because you kind of do need him. But there are other receivers on Seattle where you could still get to 5.
Right.
So I would take Ramondre here, just knowing that I can push Darnold and see all the Seahawks. Seahawks receivers. Then it's Woody Marks, because it's like, hey, dude, here's a guy to help you advance. And it's like, or if you're not worried about advancing, you could just lean into this Patriots thing. And we're of the ilk that we lean into the Patriots thing.
We lean into the Patriots. because the thing about Ramondre that the fork in the road is like, are you playing the Patriots to definitely get to the Super Bowl in this build? Because if you are, like, is AJ Brown
It's
an advanced piece, or is it a part of filling out a new Super Bowl?
It's more like how much juice are you trying to wring out of your Patriots Super Bowl bet, because you wring a little more juice out when the Eagles get there by taking the fourth Patriots piece, but you lose out on all these outcomes where you could have gotten there without this fourth Patriots piece, and it's not Eagles Super Bowl, right? Yeah. And so that's the trade-off basically. This is the higher variance route and probably lower expected value route as well, which is why the Sims had it in the order they do, because typically we're just showing you the player that adds the most expected value to your team at the top. And so that's why it is an important skill to understand like what the next picks will be after you take one. Like, okay, if I took Charbonnet here, it's still going to want me to take one more of these Seahawks. Or, okay, if I take Ramondre here, is it going to want me to pivot into a fifth Patriots? Like, no, it's really going to need you to do Seahawks here. So just like kind of seeing the next.
But the other thing is like, and in this case, right, Charbonnet comes all the way back, which is a skill as well of knowing when you can push guys. And now sometimes there's certain builds where you're actually better off just taking the guy and not playing the ADP game, because you need to just jam a bunch of dudes and you only have so many roster spots. But I don't think this is one of those builds where
this wasn't one. There are some where like the line is less intuitive, where just hypothetically, humor me and say that there was a good backdoor option. And this happens more with backdoor options. Yeah, Shahid's the pick here for sure. But where you have a team that you could fall back into, pretend like we get a situation that makes the Panthers very clearly a team that we are into now, and we could backdoor them. We could draft, Tet, Chuba, all the high projecting Dowdle, projecting Panthers pieces with the last couple picks of our draft. It can be hard to like see that that's where the Sim's going if you don't have any pieces yet. And so then understanding that that's a spot that they might try to get into, that's a path they might try to take, can be helpful and informative to knowing like, hey, I actually do need to take JSN here because all the other guys I'm going to take also are all undrafted guys or guys that go really late. I'm basically trying to take like my last 4 picks as all guys with ADP in the 50s and up. So the order in which I take them really doesn't matter too much, unless I think that there's some greater likelihood of one of them being taken by my opponent. So that's how you need to read those situations to understand like when is it a push Charbonnet spot and when is it a you're not gaining anything from pushing Charbonnet because once you take him, here's the next stuff it's going to show you. So that's something that just takes a little practice. And
now, one thing I'm surprised about here is that we're not really seeing Patriots, and I know the Patriots are kind of gone.
It's because you're way too thin to advance. Right? Think of your round one. You're Darnold, Walker, Charbonnet, JSN, AJ Brown, Rashid Shaheed. That's it, right? And so you're just pretty thin to advance. So this is a spot where you can go into Patriots, but even Mac Hollins is gone. So it's like, man, are you really going to go all the way down to like a Demario Douglas?
Yeah. Do you think, would you take a guy like this, or the next thing is like an advance rate piece like Metcalf, Swift?
I don't think there's such a huge projection difference between Metcalf and Cooper Kupp. It's like, yes, it favors Metcalf, but
I might do Barner over
Kupp. They're both fine.
They're both kind of the same.
I'll get those. I've been drafting a lot recently, and I'll get Cooper Kupp, AJ Barner, Rashid Shaheed all mixed up, where I'm seeing the frequency I'm noticing recently. It might not, if you get a larger sample, maybe it shakes out slightly different than what I'm seeing, but I see Shaheed most often, then Kupp the second most often, and then Barner the third most often. And that's about where you would project them as well. There's also a little bit of Kupp and Barner are drafted less frequently. So they show up a decent clip. Like you might think, oh man, I'm seeing these guys more than Shaheed. And some of it is, because when you get to Seahawks Super Bowls, Shaheed's going to be more commonly represented there than AJ Barner is going to be, right? And so,
and they're not going to be that different in terms of
projection. Look at like the last 4 games, who's scored more fantasy points, like it's basically a toss up. And so it's a pretty good thing to get the guy through where if you did happen to make the Seahawks Super Bowl, you get the guy that only 15 teams have, and the other guys represented on 120 teams. Like that's pretty good.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, so we're out of the 6 hole here, and
probably one of my favorite spots. I really like the 6 and the 5. The back half of the draft's really nice right now. I'm just not as big a fan of the front part of the draft because I really think it's like the middle and end of round 3 to round 4 is where like the real and like the basically all of round 2 or like the middle to late parts of round 2 and the beginning of round 3 is like the ADP doesn't really matter. It's more about the path that you take. And then rounds 3 and 4 are like players that are usually like more universally accessible, like can fit into a larger variety of builds. And so they're more in demand. And so I kind of want to be in the spot of the draft where it's like I'm at the pivot points where I can, dictate more of what other people are going to be forced into. And I can have like first crack at the pieces where, hey, everyone's going to clamor for a Nico Collins right now. It doesn't really matter what your build is. Like Nico's just a good enough pick that, people scramble for him. He opens up a lot of stuff. And so anyway, I do like this back half of the board.
I like it okay. I like kind of think the 4 and the 5 better than the 6. But I've just done some. I've built a team I think last night that I was like, it's a little tricky. You can get boxed out, I think, on the back half. At least I can. Maybe you're not getting boxed out.
But 6 insulates you a little more from the super craziness just because you're not having to predict what the guy on the turn is doing. But it's also not as high upside as like drafting in the 4.
What do you think about Devontae Kerrane here?
You can do that. I think it's fine. You're seeing it you'll see this less and less in the gauntlet as the Rams buy probability goes up and up. Earlier, when the Rams buy probability was lower, this would be something where, occasionally when Kerrane and Devontae are here on the turn, you would see one of them at the top. Now it's much less often. You'll see like Barkley and Jacobs and Cook at the top way more frequently than these guys. Did CMC go 101 in this one?
Yeah,
he did. Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious just how this plays out. The Puka drafter might take Stafford, but
I mean, he almost always does.
Sometimes you take May there. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, no, it is fun. I hardly ever see Stafford come back here as the Devontae Kerrane guy. So you'll get random people just taking Stafford too. Like totally naked Stafford.
Okay, so he snaps Stafford up.
Because now you're praying. I mean, Nico is like our, how we'll break glass, but like you're really praying for RJ Harvey to get back to like, and yeah, May goes, and so now we're like, okay, it's Harvey or Knicks, or we go into. Yeah, I mean, here's the 3 paths basically, right? It's Texans, Jags, or Broncos, and these guys' order will vary depending on the sims that you've gotten.
We'll review this this Mitten team after this draft, or maybe after this turn. Yeah. So we're looking at maybe Nico. Yeah, I actually don't hate this at all.
No, yeah, this is fine. I like you're basically, I think I talked about this last night on my stream, but basically you're going to take, hang on, you don't have to take Woody Marks here. You can take Nico and ETN. And so now you're going to effectively be able to play both Jags and Texans. And
you're going to listen to the Sims, and I forgot that the Sims are on stream with me.
So the reason is Woody Marks is very accessible at our next pick. It's going to be extremely unlikely that he is gone before our next pick. Just in my experience drafting here and his ADP as well. Also, like taking Nico dissuades other people from taking Woody Marks. So here you basically get to play Rams Super Bowl and then the aggregate of Texans Jags, because you can fit both their quarterbacks and all of their highest projection pieces and be in a spot where you get to basically smash these 2 teams Super Bowl probability together to be just as good as the Broncos or just as good as the Bills, right? Or better than the Bills. Right?
And it's helpful for advancing.
So yeah, that's kind of when you get these middling teams like this where a lot of their pieces are uncontested. This is more of an AFC phenomenon right now, but it can change. The market changes every time we get new information from the games. But yeah, that's what part of what makes this window so good right now. There's these little hacks where if you can learn them quick enough during the window, you can really exert some pressure on the draft room and get away with teams that are just way better than you should be able to draft. Like things where you do the Lions plus Rams together, that's like a hack that won't exist forever. And it's just,
and why is that? Well, let's do our thing, and then I know you've explained it previously, but for people who don't know, I want you to explain that hack because that's a fun one.
Yeah, Jags plus Texans together, Lions plus Rams together. Those little tricks are worth a lot. Now you do Woody Marks.
Yeah, we do Marks, and then the ADP on Lawrence is 50, Stroud's 52.
And because you've taken Marks and Collins, you're safer to push Stroud in the average room. The way you could check this, if you're like, I don't draft a ton, I don't know, is look at your draft board real quick. So let's pull that up. Let's look. Is there anyone doing insane shit? The 5 hole's just into Lions. That's fine. The 4 hole seems reasonable. The 3 hole seems reasonable. The 2 hole seems reasonable. So everyone's reasonable. So we can push Stroud.
So we take Lawrence.
Yeah. So we take Lawrence, and that's really.
Would you ever take Thomas there and really push it?
Probably not, because the punishment of not having both quarterbacks is I've just lost my Super Bowl equity, half of my Super Bowl equity that I was counting on, right? My neat little trick is now out the window. It's like, oh, just kidding. I'm down to one team with just mediocre Super Bowl odds instead of 2 in concert together. But yeah, everyone here was doing relatively reasonable stuff. So I'm not so concerned about someone taking Stroud after I have the 2 best Texans pieces. And so that's kind of how you can read the room to know if this is a spot where you'd push him or push Lawrence. Or
we got a question of why not take Corum here.
You could take Corum. I think you just need the projection though, because you're going to try and advance as a 1 of 6 pod, and you're going to run out of spots too. Cause like map out the rest of your draft here. So we take CJ Stroud here. Then we got picks 8, 9, and 10. So I need at least 1 Jags receiver, preferably, 2 Jags receivers. And then there's still other good Jags. Yeah. And so Jacoby Myers goes. So yeah, you don't have the luxury of being able to draft Blake Corum and get all the pieces that you need. Because we draft Blake Corum here, or, back there, now we're probably going to miss out on both Thomas and Myers. So it's just your opportunity cost is too high of taking Blake Corum there.
And I would note that this team is built around the idea Rams make the Super Bowl and face either the Texans or Jaguars, and we show up with like a bunch of Texans and Jaguars, whichever it is, including Travis Etienne or Woody Marks. So that 1 running back spot is hopefully filled by that running back as opposed to Blake Corum.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And and by the way, we also have Kerrane Williams. So I forgot that we don't even need. So that would be another reason that we're probably not taking Corum, is that we have Kerrane.
Yeah, Corum's been going earlier and earlier. You get a guy have 1 big game and everyone wants to take him like 5 rounds earlier than he's been going the entire time. So it's just not the best time to be drafting Blake Corum for the price you're paying, but sometimes it's fine. There's no real opportunity cost to taking him, but here is not one of those times.
Oh, we just lost Brenton Strange. That's a bummer.
Yeah, a little bit of a bummer. It's okay, though. We still have the full Super Bowl for Jags Rams,
with
right?
Thomas. And that's why Thomas was so important there.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think we get Higgins here.
Yeah, you probably are just going to go Higgins-Schultz.
And then Higgins-Schultz, yeah, probably.
Because it's like, what's the real projection difference on DK Metcalf or something? Yeah, it's just all Texans guys here.
Man, this team's really fun.
I've got a couple like this. Isn't that a neat little just double up on the kind of middling AFC teams?
It is, dude. I mean, first of all, the Rams probably do get the bye. So you're looking at your first 2 picks not making it, and then you get pretty good projection pieces in Collins, ETN. Mark's, solid enough. You have 2 quarterback outs in round 1. Thomas will project reasonably well. And then Higgins and Schultz aren't going to project great, but your whole rest of the team, it's a Rams Super Bowl, but the whole rest of the team is not going to have a bye, like definitely not going to have a bye in week 1. So it's, we're pretty live to get out of round one while only having 2 bets. Like you're not scattered around, like, oh, we got to advance this team. Let's take like a Lion and a 49er and, just like and a Packer. And, it's like very clean, but still pretty live to advance out of round one. And then if it does, we have Adams and Kerrane coming online for that Rams Super Bowl. So that's pretty fun.
The other thing that's really nice for us is the guy who has, so in the event that Rams don't get the bye, right? Now we're advancing easier. The other guy over there with the Puka Stafford stuff, he might be in trouble if Rams don't get the bye, because then it's probably Seahawks. And so he loses his Ken Walker. And then he's got Patriots who could get a bye. And then he has Ravens who might not play. So it's like, we don't even lose out that. We probably like end up being net positive, even though the guy with Puka, if Rams don't get the bye, the room fell in a way where we're the ones that benefit the most from that little advance rate boost.
If the Rams don't get a bye, he's got Corum and Henry. I mean, he did get Henry. So, I mean, although the Rams,
they're not going to make the playoffs. So,
yeah, that is a problem.
Yeah.
All right, let's review this team that we got here. This was a mitten team, I believe. Stafford, Darnold, Kerrane? Is that Kerrane? Stafford, Darnold, Kerrane, Henderson, Walker, JSN, Hunter, Henry, Booty, Shaheed, and Douglas.
Okay, so you're JSN, Walker, and Henderson, Henry, Booty, Shaheed, Douglas. This is a mitten, so it's 2 of 6.
Seems pretty good to me. Although your issue is getting out around 1.
Yeah, what is Stafford? I guess you're playing for Patriots, Rams here, and then you've got the backdoor of Seahawks, and then your round 1.
Round 1 is ugly.
Round 1's a little thin. Yeah, I don't think
because one of the Seahawks or the Rams will have the bye. So so if the Patriots get the bye, to me this is like a team that's like, if the Patriots get the bye, it's probably dead to advance.
I don't think you need. Do you even need Demario Douglas? Because you're Henry, Booty, Hunter Henry, Booty, and then if you're the Rams, you're SOL then, because you don't. Oh no, Hunter Henry, Booty, Kerrane, Henderson. Yeah, you don't need Demario Douglas. Demario Douglas needs to be like DK Metcalf or something. You're throwing up a prayer. You need help advancing. So scrap Demario Douglas, grab something that'll get you some points.
Yeah, I think that's right. All right. I know Sack hates Allen's the top 3 pick, and I tried to IKB off the Sims by taking him there. It didn't work out, and I had to build a Chargers-Eagles. So this is from East of Ethan, who was out of the 3 hole. So
it doesn't work out because not having James Cook is a really tough. You ideally are getting one of James Cook or one of the big NFC running
That's the thing. I like Allen more than the Sims because I kind of have the, normie brain of like, I don't know, man, it's Josh Allen. Like I'm willing to buy into that because like the Bills are favored in Foxborough tomorrow. So like they, it hasn't been the regular season where
Patriots money line tomorrow.
Well, sure, but I think the Bills could make a run, and Allen obviously is so key to a run like that where he's just like putting up points. So I just don't want to be in a position where I'm fading Allen, even though we tend to think the quarterbacks are a little overpriced and Allen is basically just being overdrafted. But I'm kind of taking some of them because I think it's fun. And
well, so walk me through what happens here for all your Josh Allen teams that don't. The ones that have James Cook, those are awesome. That's why I want to push Allen.
Well, you like taking him from the back half of the board so you can get him with Cook, which I'm.
So what happens to your teams without James Cook though? Like walk me through your best. Let's go down the tree of like the 3 other good things that can happen for you in the second round. Who do you get there?
You get Kyron Williams, Saquon Barkley, or Josh Jacobs.
Yep, I agree. Okay, and so now let's go down the Josh Jacobs path. That one's pretty clean, pretty easy to do. Bills, Packers all the way, and you're not terribly contested. I don't have any qualms with that one, so that's fine. To build that, I think you need to be pretty vertical Packers and have a good number of Bills guys sprinkled in there. And also the ADPs of those guys, like look where Jacobs and Christian Watson went in this draft. Like you can probably get both of them if you're the Josh Allen drafter. It's not the hardest thing in the world to do, but sometimes you get blown up. But you do that, and now you have had to pass on the other high projected NFC pieces, right? So you're pretty pigeonholed into just Bills Packers is when you get to realize that equity in the finals. And so think of that compared to James Cook. I'm going to pull up our playoff odds while I talk so I can give you an exact number of that. And I've been kind of describing it as like, how much of the pie do you get to eat when your thing that you're predicting, actually happens? And so here, when you get Bills Super Bowl, you're actually only getting to eat pie 15%.
Sorry, what
you get
scenario
to eat pie,
are we living in now?
Yeah, you're Bills
Packers.
Packers. You're okay. Bills Packers. So you're right. Bills make the Super Bowl. You needed Josh Allen, but you don't have James Cook. So you ain't making any money in the Super Bowl, but 15% of the time. Not meaningful money.
What do you mean?
Because you only have Packers Bills covered, and the Packers only represent about 15% of the Super Bowl outcomes from the NFC. And you don't get to have any of the other ones covered, right? And so that problem just goes basically on down the line. And then it gets worse and worse in that, where the Rams will have better odds, like Allen Kerrane. Now all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm looking at like 30%. I get like 30% of the pie, man. This is like double as good as the Packers. Okay. And how are you now advancing this? Because you're probably in round 3 and you need to start taking Bills pieces, which that's basically like, all right, let me subtract a couple percentage points from my advance rate because I had to take Khalil Shakir, 48 route percent, Khalil Shakir.
We do have the third round. Like in here, Shakir goes 4th.
Right.
And I think on Underdog, I'd be fine skipping Shakir. Like if this was Allen Kerrane, I'd be fine going with like AJ Brown here, right?
So here's you
come back and you skip Shakir, and maybe you do take like a Kittle or something like that.
So you're Allen Kerrane, and then you're in a Rams Bills Super Bowl where you're going to have some Adams Kerrane or Adams James Cook or even some Puka James Cook Stafford. You just start the Allen because of the price of Allen. You end up in a spot where you just end up being a projection dog in lots of the Bills you're like, I've got Josh Allen, losers, and everyone else is like, and we've got better projected lineups than you, dude. So you better hope Josh Allen goes for 50 in the Super
what do
Bowl.
Those projected lineups look like?
You end up with something like Puka. Yeah, in this, let's do the Rams one. So you're Puka plus, say, you get a James Cook that makes it to you, or you ended up with Adams, James Cook, or Kerrane.
James Cook is not super common, right? Because James Cook tends to go on the other side.
Yeah, you can get it some. I mean, Puka will fall sometimes now. So like I've been getting Puka from the 3rd spot or even from the 4th spot. And so it really just kind of goes back to the Josh Allen thing where if you're trying to play Bills, you kind of need to play it as late in the board as you can. And I understand that the earlier that you're taking it to the board, the more overall exposure you get to it, but it's lower quality exposure. It's like, when you switch to, Dylan Gabriel targets compared to, Shedeur Sanders targets, like you'd prefer the Shedeur Sanders targets.
This East of Ethan says Puka Cook is useless because you won't get Stafford with it.
Not necessarily. It depends on how the board falls because you could easily get Puka Cook and have the other guy be Adams Kerrane.
The Kerrane Adams
so then
on the other side.
On the inside track. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that it's possible because I have it. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, someone could snipe you on Stafford, and that would be extremely tilting. But I certainly see how that would be very possible.
So yeah, it's just you really, really, really prefer Allen with Cook just because of the nature of it's really hard to this thing that we just did with the two AFC teams.
Yeah.
You can't do it as easily with the two NFC teams. Your best way to do it would be like I get there without JSN, and so I'm like but again, you're running into the same projection problem where it's like, okay, I'm missing JSN in a Seattle Super Bowl. I got Ken Walker. That's my running back thing. And then maybe I paired it with like Josh Allen,
you're
Josh
going to be
Jacobs.
missing a lot of the key. I guess I'm just not as fussed about missing Cook. I get what you're saying about you then have to play it through specific NFC teams, and that, you know, kind of closes branches of the game tree for you that way. You know, like you're only living in certain sets of the universe, certain sets of universes. But I like when you have Josh Allen, you're betting on a certain type of Super Bowl. You're betting on the Bills to get pushed in the Super Bowl, and then for them to have the Allen like puts on the Superman cape type of game. And in those games, like I'm not that concerned about Cook. Like Cook is kind of like,
it's less about that.
he's like anti-correlated in a lot of.
It's more about the fact that your Josh Allen, your Super Bowl lineups that you have with Josh Allen don't field a full roster the vast majority of the time, that your specific NFC teams don't make it. And so a Josh Allen, James Cook team fields a lineup 100% of the time that your Bills make the Super Bowl, right? You know, your
because you can add shitters. You can add those Bills shitters later.
And,
that
if you
that
don't
part,
have
like,
that,
I think is completely.
And so basically, it's like, hey, my Josh Allen team with James Cook is worth 4 or 5 of your Josh Allen Packers teams, or your Josh Allen,
4 or 5
Eagles
of your
team.
Josh Allen, and then a mix, because you have to like Josh Allen Packers, Josh Allen Eagles, Josh Allen Rams equals 1 Josh Allen Cook.
Correct. Yep.
I think that makes sense to me, because
so that's why I want to be underweight Josh Allen on the whole, but overweight my Josh Allen to James Cook. And it's not that I'll never have Allen without Cook, because sometimes I'm going to take Allen in the 4 spot and get sniped, and that's how I'll get my Allen exposure without Cook. But I want to maximize my Allen Cook exposure, and that's basically the way that I do.
So what are you doing? Like out of the 3 hole, then CMC went 1 here, which is unusual.
Yeah, doing a lot of CMC. Basically,
you're a lot of CMC. Okay.
It depends on if it's gauntlet or mitten, right? But it's a lot of JSN, CMC.
And is that just like kind of an advance rate piece?
No, not necessarily. I'm pretty happy to play 49ers Super Bowl or Seahawks Super Bowl. Like,
I've had a hard time with 49ers true Super Bowl builds. I just don't. The defense is kind of whatever, and
yeah, I think every team's bad. Every team in the NFC is bad, man. And the 49ers, like,
well, the NFC is better than the AFC. If the 49ers were in the AFC, I would
theoretically
about them in the Super Bowl.
Say that the 49ers and Rams are the ones that meet in the conference championship. You can't see Kyle Shanahan. We've talked about this. Kyle Shanahan, just 72-hour bender. It's just nothing but Adderall. And he is like, no, I will not lose to Sean. I will not.
I mean, they beat him. They beat him once.
Yeah. He's going to dig deep
to win that game for sure. Yeah. I would have a harder time seeing them beat the Seahawks, because just the Rams and the 49ers are always close. So yeah.
Yeah, you can. One of the things, the Sims actually like James Cook early, and they'll play it as a Bills go to the Super Bowl with the high projected pieces from the other NFC teams that you can't get otherwise. And then it's like you're less committed to Bills Super Bowl being, your pie that you're trying to get slices of, and your actual pie that you're trying to get your whole piece of is like, hey, I'm trying to do Packers Bills, but I don't have Josh Allen. I have Josh Jacobs, James Cook, and then I go that way. Or I have James Cook, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, like this guy in the 5 hole got. And so then that way you get this full NFC team where you get to capture all of their Super Bowl outcomes as, very profitable for you. And then when you do get the Bills there, you're probably going to win first place a decent amount of the time. You'll lose some of the time to the Josh Allen, James Cook teams, right? And you'll still lose some of the time, less of the time, to the Josh Allen without James Cook teams. But that, that is an outcome that'll happen. Those just aren't going to be as large a favorite as the teams that manage to get Allen and Cook, or Allen plus, Barkley.
I don't know. That's the part I disagree with, where because there aren't going to be a ton of teams that have like Allen, Cook, and Barkley, or Allen, Cook, and Jacobs. I guess, well, Jacobs was going earlier, but not really so much since the gauntlet opened. There'll probably be some Allen, Cook,
Jacobs falls too. I've gotten Jacobs in the 4th recently, because people are worried about the injury, and
Allen, Cook, Jacobs is different. Yeah, if you show up with Allen Jacobs and someone has Allen, Cook, Jacobs, I'm pretty pissed about that. Not good. Yeah, But if you're just saying a 1v1 of Allen and Jacobs or Allen and Cook, I'm totally fine
No.
with Allen and Jacobs. I'd prefer Allen and Jacobs.
That's fine. That's not the end of the world. Yeah, I'm more so just thinking through it from the lens of I can have James Cook and have the Bills die in the conference championship round and have that still be okay and have this team still have basically full Super Bowl equity from whatever NFC team that I have. Where if the Bills die in the conference championship round and I have Josh Allen instead of James Cook, I'm dead. Oftentimes I will IKB off the Sims when they want me to take James Cook in the first round, just because I'm pretty Patriots pilled, and I think that comes directly at the expense of the Bill. I think basically like if the Bills run into the Patriots in the playoffs, like it's curtains for them. I think that Sunday we're going to learn, and then I think that it's going to be like a marching towards the guillotine type experience for Bills.
Wow.
If they lose to the Patriots without their two best trench players on Sunday, like after already losing to them early in the season, it's over. Like it's done. There's not a.
Well, they might not have Bosa for this game. In fairness to the Bills,
I mean, the impact of Joey Bosa relative to the impact of Milton Williams. And
I would put him up there with Milton Williams.
Really, he hasn't had that great a season. I mean,
he's been a good pass rusher this year.
Okay.
Let's look at pass. We'll look at pass rush win rate. And he's been, the other thing with Bosa is that he's like by far the Bills' best pass rusher. So I think he matters.
Yeah, but the bar is low.
Bar is low. So he's third in run stop win rate. He didn't make the top 20 in pass rush win rate, but I think he's graded really well in PFF. Let's see. Bear with me 1 second. Defensive grades, edge. And we'll do 200 snaps. All right. Pass rush grade. Joey Bosa's 5th in PFF stuff.
Okay.
So he's been very good.
I just also think if the Patriots beat them and you have no Will Campbell, no Milton Williams, like you got to be feeling.
And Bosa's expected to play. So okay, if they beat him with Bosa, I was thinking they might sit Bosa because this Bills game, it's like one of these games of reputationally, right? Or like for team morale is probably pretty big, but it doesn't have that much of a playoff impact.
No. It doesn't change. It doesn't change their playoff odds. I think it
not
more.
Dead, but
so here's what I'm saying. I'm saying the current models of the Bills' team strength relative to the Patriots' team strength are not correct. They're very far off by multiple points, as evidenced by how much I disagree with the line this week. Like I think that we are probably a solid 3 points wrong on how those teams model compared to each other. And so I'm saying when you observe a Bills loss to the Patriots this week, that will then change those team strengths in the modeling.
I'm not sure I agree with that. I think the Patriots are. So the Patriots offensive line is like a problem. I know it'll be better. Will Campbell should be back for the playoffs, but he's coming off was he a knee or an ankle?
I believe he was ankle.
He's knee. It's I think it's MCL. I think it was an MCL sprain. But you're
you're right. It was a knee sprain.
Yeah.
So they're calling it a high ankle. But then here it's reportedly has an MCL sprain.
That's not great if they can't figure out which one it is. It's the type of thing where you're probably looking at him in like a brace, not moving super great. For people under a rock this offseason with the draft stuff, he has short arms. That's the big thing. He's got short arms, so like it's all kind of about him making sure he's moving well, right? He's not like a big, pillar that you just can't get around. He's got to be able to move. So I am a bit worried about the Patriots pass protection, and also their defense I think is pretty overrated.
No, yeah, the defense has not been as good lately as they were to start the season.
Milton Williams being hurt hurts, but also like you want to talk about the schedule stuff with the Patriots, their opposing offenses that they faced have been a joke. The opposing defenses they faced have not really been that bad. Like it's not like a murderer's row. But as far as like the May stuff, I'm like, May has faced some tough challenges. Their defense has not fit. Like they played the Browns. That's a tough ass defense, not a good offense. So I think the Patriots defense could be exposed a bit in the playoffs. And honestly, tomorrow, I think if Josh Allen gets going, like if we got like a guest coaching, if we got like
that's what the Bills need. The Bills need literally anyone else to make decisions.
If we got like Sean McVay like guest coaching the Bills this week, they would crush the Patriots.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah,
you just don't
Bills,
get that. Is the
yeah, but that creates upside in a weird way for the Bills, where it's like their quarterback's so much better than the game plan that he normally gets, that when kind of stuff gets, and we see this like when games get close and when games start to get a little frothy, like Josh Allen just takes over. And, I think that's more likely to happen in the playoffs, not less.
Yeah, I also just think that part of what makes the Patriots so dangerous is Drake May. Drake May has the same, like, the take over a game thing that you're describing with Josh Allen. Drake May does that as well, but he does it in a different way where he just decides, I would like to score the ball.
This is a great comment. They have morale and everything perfect and then lose the Chiefs. Sorry, go ahead.
But Drake May just decides, I would like to score the ball. And he just does it on the next play because he's chosen to do that. And that's something where, like, Josh Allen can do that, but he's having and he.
Do you want to do CMC or do you want to do Allen and see if we can pull off something?
I'm into I like the CMC stuff a lot because you can go into lots of Patriots stuff, and that is correlated to my dislike of Bills stuff.
All right, let's do CMC and see how this goes.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think that having a quarterback that can score the ball from anywhere on the field at any time feels pretty good. And I feel better about May's ability to do that than Allen's, just because Allen is so hamstrung.
I don't. I still think, like, as good as May has been this year, like Josh Allen still does things. Josh Allen, I think, is more dangerous as a runner. He's just so much bigger. When May's
he's definitely more dangerous as a runner. It's just a lot harder to score the ball from 70 yards as a runner than it is a passer. And Drake May has these explosive passes almost every week.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's May. Yeah, I don't want to be doubting.
Okay, so this is a fun spot. So
Travion's fine.
Yeah, you can do Travion. You also can do May because you know that you're safe. If you're trying to do Patriots, you do May here because worst case scenario, you don't get Travion, then you're going to get into Ramondre later if you really need it. And it's not a huge projection fall off.
I like May then. Patriots to the Super Bowl. God.
I've got to.
Zach, I have to say, like, imagine in the summer if you told us we were going to be like arguing, like, no, Zach, I don't know. I think Josh Allen might be a little bit more dangerous than Drake May. I know it's close.
I mean, I was saying Patriots to win their division was looking pretty good over the summer.
Yeah, you're right.
That has aged well. So this is a fun spot. I think you take AJ Brown here. I think he is perfectly solid. Yeah, the other thing you can do if you're like really worried about like filling out a full Patriots Super Bowl, because you're not going to have a lot more Eagles you can take. Like you'll probably not get Devonta Smith back. Maybe you can add Goddard. And the Patriots themselves, you can't fill up too much on Patriots because they're likely a bye team. So you need projection pieces. If you're really worried about that outcome, you can end up just forcing it to be only a San Francisco Patriots Super Bowl and have it be something where it's like, hey, I can advance this because I can end up with George Kittle and Juwan Jennings, and now I only need one other Patriot with Drake May, and I've got my 49ers Patriots Super Bowl. Then I can just take projection pieces around it. I can take AFC stuff. I can take whatever I need to advance. This puts you in a spot where you can end up with more outcomes in the Super Bowl where you can hit, but you'll likely end up needing to have like 3 skill positions at the Patriots, which is just harder to advance.
Yeah, it's like getting harder to advance. Yeah. Young C. Jeezy says Pat's going to lose round 1.
That's a thing that can happen if they don't get the bye.
I don't think they're losing round 1 because they're going to get the bye.
They're only 43% to get the bye, believe it or not. Denver and them are basically a coin flip right now.
So Collins is popping up here.
Yeah,
And then
Collins is
Kittle
good
and
because
Diggs.
of just how good the projection is, and we're going to need it. But we really want both of Kittle and Diggs. They're both pretty good for us. So I think we probably just do Collins though. I think
Really?
I think we prioritize the projection because there's other Patriots guys we can get. We can get a Hunter Henry. By the way, if no one has taken Steph Diggs to this point, like it is signal that people aren't really trying to contest us. You know, you've got the Travion guy here, but it's
Maybe
like,
Young Jeezy's in this draft.
but like, look at what the
I kinda
guy in
wish
the
we took
one
Diggs, to
hole
be
is
honest.
going to have to do. But do we
Okay.
really want Diggs? We just killed the guy in the one hole. How is this advancing? It's
Yeah,
not.
he's dead.
Yeah, so that was kind of good for us. So we'll now take the lower projected Patriots because there's going to be a lot of people doing stuff like this where it just never had a chance or a prayer to make it to the Super Bowl. And so now
Make
we
it to
get our
round
George
2, really.
Kittle. Yeah. And so when we
Kittle
show up
works
to
out nicely here.
we show up to the Super Bowl with lower projected Patriots pieces, it doesn't really matter because a lot of people taking the higher projected pieces just killed themselves.
Yeah. All right. I really never want to take a single Bill without Josh Allen. Imagine showing up to Seahawks Bills Super Bowl and needing Darnold to outscore him. But
you don't need Darnold to outscore him. Yeah,
You
need
don't
the
need Darnold to
combination
outscore him.
of JSN plus James Cook plus Kenneth
James
Walker
Cook. Yeah,
to outscore Josh Allen plus Khalil Shakir. You know, like
no, yeah, that team probably also has Walker. You're probably
it
duped
probably
on the
also has
Walker teams.
Walker. Yeah,
but you've got JSN Cook. The 2v2s are probably like JSN Cook to his like Allen Shakir or something.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think you're good there. I think you're pretty good there.
Yep. Which is again why I
also
do
Darnold.
not really take Josh Allen in the first three picks.
Yeah, because he might have JSN. He doesn't have JSN though. So yeah. Anyway, it's a 3v3. Darnold, JSN, Cook, Allen, Shakir.
Once the buy stuff shakes out and people are less timid about the AFC buys, I would think that, you know, say it resolves where the Bills beat the Patriots on Sunday and then the Patriots are not going to get the buy and the Broncos get the buy. You should see Drake May basically rise to Allen and May should basically go back to back, you know, really like the Patriots will have I know. Won't. Okay, so this is a spot where we have to read the room here. I think we just do Jennings because it makes it easier for us to get
Purdy.
And also to get Patriots Super Bowl where we're not forcing ourselves to have quite as many pieces of Patriots this way, right? Because we're probably not going to make the Eagles Patriots thing work at this point because that guy took Diggs from us. We could.
See, look at that. Look at the Sims.
Yeah.
Same page, brother. Purdy here is nice.
The other thing you could do here
2 outs in the Super Bowl
is we don't particularly care. I mean, yes, Purdy adds some equity in the Super Bowl for us here. Actually, it adds a full
Purdy is
pretty
really
good.
Important. Yeah.
I'm just saying
look at that.
The other thing you can do is you can go Ramondre here if you're worried about him getting sniped. Yeah.
I'd rather get Purdy because Purdy gives us a Texans Super Bowl.
Yeah, so does Stroud though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Purdy is better. That's why
Purdy's better.
Sims.
Yeah.
So. It's just you don't have a replacement Ramondre. You know, Ramondre goes
But Ramondre opens up what? Eagles?
It's just if we wanted to go into
I don't think
Eagles.
we're doing that.
Okay. Then yeah, you do Purdy here.
Yeah.
Because if you do Ramondre, then we have the need for 2 more Patriots skill position pieces. And so we still could fit Purdy and then get 2 more Patriots skill position pieces. Now it's basically, do we want 3 Patriots skill position pieces to close out our draft, or do we want some of these higher projected?
If we get Ramondre, sure.
Yeah.
Because we already have 49ers and Texans covered with a really with the team you'd want.
Yeah.
If you're only going to have 5. And then but yeah, if we don't have Ramondre, then I think we just I'd be almost as interested in Texans as Patriots at that point.
Yep. Yeah, you're
there goes Ramondre.
Yeah, there goes Ramondre.
which we should have known. I mean, we could have maybe pushed Purdy. I don't see. There's not really any 49ers.
Yeah, I usually push Purdy in the spot because you can just get him back. He doesn't
Okay.
go contested very much.
All right. Well, and we did have the Stroud cover, so that was probably the smarter play. But
And I am pretty Patriots pilled, so always color my IKBs through that lens.
if they lose to the Bills, how much are you gonna?
It depends on how the loss looks, like if it's something where they were in there and I'm like, yeah, the missing your two best players in the trenches sure looks like that could be enough to get you over the top of this matchup.
Pearsall seems good.
Yeah, Pearsall's great for us. Gives us 5 49ers. I bet you, you talked about this in Angles and Upside with Rebar, but man, if there was a week for Pearsall, this feels like a pretty good week for it. So maybe this is the cheapest we get him in playoff best ball.
Yeah. So Hampton's pop. We're seeing some advanced.
Yeah, it's advanced rate stuff now.
You like Hampton the best of these kind of options?
Yeah. Hampton's perfectly fine here. And yeah, there's not really
for what it's worth.
A big benefit to taking the Patriots guys, because think through, like, when do the Patriots receivers make you money? For us, it's only in San Francisco Patriots Super Bowls. That's the only one where Patriots can do anything now because we don't have enough roster spots to go with Eagles. And so what are the odds that Demario Douglas or, Mac Hollins outscore enough guys to crack our starting lineup when we do have 49ers there? I mean, basically.
Now, this is a big difference from years past, moving to Sims where,
it's because you have 49ers and Texans as a matchup, and so now you can
matchup, and now it's 2 outs.
Both sides of the quarterback.
But it makes sense, but it's just like this is not one.
Because think about how strong your skill position projection is. Your AJ Brown, Nico Collins, CMC, George Kittle, Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Maureen Hampton. Like, it's so hard for one of these guys to crack your flex, and they don't add very much value down the road, in the later rounds for you, just because of how you're built. And so Stroud is actually the thing that helps you the most in all phases, right? In round one, if you get Patriots bye, he's helpful just because Purdy, might not score a bunch. You also, let's see, 1, 2. There's some really thin outcomes, probably like sub 1%, where the 49ers get the bye and the Patriots get the bye, and you're still able to advance because you have Hampton, Nico, AJ Brown, and CJ Stroud, and those guys just happen to nuke. It doesn't happen very often, but yeah, that probably does add a tiny bit to it. And then really it's more so like, hey, farther down the road, this extra quarterback out to help me advance is good, and then in the Super Bowl.
Well, also if you get Patriots bye, then you have 2 quarterback outs week 1.
Yep.
All right, let's jump over to DraftKings.
Man, I never know what we're going to get there. Like, are we going to, you're already in a room. Okay, wait, hang on. Let me see these names. I recognize Capital. I don't think anyone else are people that I specifically recognize. I can't read the guy in the 2-hole.
2-hole is CT Kelly.
Okay, don't think I recognize him, so. Had some good rooms going last night.
I did too, yeah. I was going to show, because we were talking about Allen's stuff. I took Allen out of the 1-hole. I mean, God, could you imagine Sack ever doing that? He'd never do it. All right, so here's the 1-hole. I took Josh Allen to see how it'd go, and I got Saquon Barkley back. Get all the Eagles. Jalen Hurts is there. I pushed Jalen Hurts because I'm like, who's taking Jalen Hurts without any Eagles? This guy. But I took Kincaid because I was like, I kind of want this to be a Bills Super Bowl team as opposed to just like a weird Eagles Super Bowl team with Josh Allen advancing, although that would also have been cool. So I took Kincaid thinking I could maybe get Hurts. Don't get Hurts. Get Goddard instead. Get Shakir. And then I built out additional AFC stacks on the other side. So it becomes all the Eagles plus 3 different potential AFC Super Bowls because you have the extra 2 rounds to work with on DraftKings. So instead of building out a bunch of like Bills guys who probably don't hit my lineup when I have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Shakir in the Super Bowl, I ended up actually building out additional outs to other Super Bowls.
You know what I'm laughing at? You sent me this board before, and I just was paying so much attention to your team. Why don't you look at the 6-hole for me? Tell me what you notice.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not going to score any points in any round of the tournament.
It's 1 in 5, maybe.
These teams are not making the playoffs. So, yeah, probability of Baltimore making the playoffs about 21%, according to us. Probability of Dallas making the playoffs about 12%. So it's looking thin for our boy from the 6-hole.
It really is. Yeah. And thank you, Corey, in the house. This is a very nice squad. It is. You're going to have some ones that stink over on DraftKings. It gets crazy. But you also get some like teams that are really, really nice. So you just got to live with that. And someone was asking about early drafts equals more onslaughts. I'll let you answer that. But to me, the big difference is early drafts equals fewer teams that probably do anything, and you're hoping to hit some beautiful teams, right? This is when we're going to get combos that won't be available.
Here you go. Here's your James Cook in the first round spot. Now here's
we do it? I thought you weren't doing it.
You can. Here's the problem. If you take James Cook and both Barkley and Jacobs go, you're quite sad.
Yeah. So what do we do instead?
Either of those guys first, or you could do the Adams Kyren thing. I don't really like the Adams Kyren on DK though. It's pretty scary.
All right, let's take Cook and see if we get blown up.
Yeah, as long as Capital leaves you one of Barkley or Jacobs, you're pretty happy. If not, you're all of a sudden not very happy.
Well, what about Kyren?
Who are you going to play to the Super Bowl? Because you're not getting Stafford back.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Oh, May goes.
Drake May. That's really good for us. Yeah. Also, a very sharp drafter. He knows to take Drake May.
So if Drake May loses that game, tomorrow, do you want Barkley or Jacobs?
I like Barkley. Both are fine. Yeah, it's honestly, it'll flip.
Believe in the Packers more, man.
Yeah, you can. It'll flip back and forth.
Let's take Jacobs. I know everybody. Plus, I get so many Eagles. You get a lot. If you want to take Eagles on DraftKings, this is a good time.
I mean, that's why. That's the thing. Like the whole, it can be natural to be like, oh, I've got so much of these guys. I want to mix it up, do something different. It's like, just wait a week then. Do the thing that's easy to get right now. Just load your plate up with Eagles. They're not going to come back with a second serving tray of Eagles for you to load up on later. Like it's just.
I think they might, Zach. That's what I'm saying.
If they do, you're not going to want them, right? Like,
I barely want them now.
Well, that's why this is the time that you take them. Like, there's not because the value can increase.
I am taking them. It's just like, oh man, it's like Eagles again. God.
Will you go to the draft board just because on DK I really need to see what I got to have hands at 10 and 2 at all times.
Right. So Gibbs, I'm out here just cruising.
Gibbs is going.
I'm looking at the board.
Barkley goes to the CMC guy. This Puka guy, I mean, he might get Adams. We'll see what the Josh Allen drafter does.
Good.
Contest integrity protector.
Whew, that was close. I'd have to email DK there for a second. All right, so what would you do here out of the 1-hole?
Out of the 1-hole, I think I'm probably just taking Stafford. The other thing that you'll do sometimes here is you'll end up going into like Broncos. But I think
a lot less Broncos. Stafford. I've noticed the Sims are less into the Broncos than before. The Broncos were
they're it's because their buy probabilities climbed up a bunch, so they're kind of like Patriots, but we think they're worse.
Well, like that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah. And we barely like the Patriots, right? You'll notice like a lot of the times we're taking Patriots, it's like I'm saying, why don't we IKB and take the Patriots? Because I'm in my mental model saying this should be even better than we have them in the Sims, right? So if we barely like them, like to the point where we don't end up with a lot of them naturally, we're not as huge into Broncos. Broncos are more just like, hey, it's the next best thing in a lot of spots.
So what are you thinking here? Collins is interesting.
Awesome. Yeah, Nico's great.
And then
I think you're pretty happy for Kincaid.
Yeah, and Watson was the other guy.
Also good.
Yeah. Watson. I'm pretty Watson pilled right now. Let's do Watson.
keeps our Packers stuff more alive.
Yeah. That one thing with the Packers that's tough is like they just don't have a tight end.
They don't have a tight end. Yeah.
So you do like Kincaid is Bill's Packers stuff, but
The Allen guy does have Kittle though, so maybe Kincaid comes back to us.
that would be awesome. Although he's fallen down our list a bit. Love obviously is crucial to the team. Can we push Love around the next turn?
Someone in the chat saying buy feels reasonable for the Bills. Buy is 6% for the Bills, my guy. Don't worry about it. That's not a thing you draft for at this frequency right now.
They could win the division, but the buy is very unlikely.
You'll sometimes get a second quarterback with Josh Allen teams just because it's adding expected value to certain finals outcomes or things like that. But it's not really for the buy.
Because even if they beat the Patriots, the Broncos are much more likely to get
the Packers are more likely to get the bye. The Jags are more likely to get the bye. The 49ers are almost 3 times more likely than the Bills to get the bye. Chicago is just as likely as the Bills to get the bye.
Josh Wiley, some Josh Wiley love in the chat.
He will not pop.
He will not pop.
Okay,
Marks,
so
I think.
Yeah, Woody Marks is good here. I think we do that.
Do you want to take Love? He's the higher ADP.
No, I think you do Marks. Marks is important here.
Okay.
You're still pretty fine if you get just CJ Stroud, but you'd prefer for this to be both Love and Stroud. Because Love is basically how you capture your Bills equity with Cook, and then Stroud is going to give you additional equity on your Texan stuff. But yeah, now we can comfortably take Love and have the Texans stuff less contested because we have the 2 best pieces. And we actually really need Texans to stay uncontested because we're going to need Schultz quite badly.
Right. Is Knox someone you're thinking about here?
Yeah, you might end up with a Knox in the last round or something. Yeah. But yeah, now the Sims are like, okay, we need Schultz desperately.
The Sims. How did the Sims work? Do you just plug in after every pick?
At the start of the playoff best ball, when we're getting ready for everything, Shady actually flew me out to a secret, undisclosed location. He actually had purchased a decommissioned missile silo, from the Cold War era. He strapped me into this chair, shaved my head, had a bunch of electrodes and shit hooked up to me. And I don't remember a ton else after that, but yeah.
Have you ever seen the SNL sketch Alan? It's Bill Hader. Bill Hader's it's pretty good. Bill Hader's in a box and it's Alan, and it's almost like a toy or something. It's some kind of like weird contraption. And that's what I imagine. I imagine that there's just a Zach in there doing the Sims. Boop, 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 Dalton Schultz.
The secret behind the sidekick the whole time is I've just been there clicking the buttons to send the recommendations to people every time.
Not you, a version of you that Shady made. I'm not trying to take away Shady's contribution here.
Yeah, so he Dalton Schultz here.
Dalton Schultz is kind of
he's critical.
Awesome. He's critical because he's helpful. He's more helpful because he gives us the tight end.
Losing Jaden Reed is pretty sad. I'm very sad we lost Jaden Reed, but
yeah, Dobbs.
Who took Jaden Reed? I just need to know for vengeance.
I just need to know who took Jaden Reed.
All right, this one hole. Alan Locksmith. All right, I'll keep you in mind.
He kind of needs him as an advanced.
No, yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world he could have done. Although I think you probably just prefer to do Jags here. I know he missed out on Myers, but yeah, that's fine. I'm still going to hold him against him if I find him in a draft.
All right, so
I think you pretty strongly want Dobbs because you're now contested on the Packers and you're not dead if you don't get Stroud.
I think Dobbs is kind of a jam because that's our second Packers wide receiver, and we're looking at like we can, we're looking good for Bills, but I don't want to have to take like, Josh Palmer later or whatever.
Yeah, we might. I mean, shoot, we might even fit like an Evan Ingram in here to go with Packers stuff.
To go with another Super Bowl, that tight end. Oh, he took Evan Ingram, the Broncos guy, which makes sense. So we get Stroud here, and then, I mean, I know he's not on the list. I would be, yeah. These Packers tight ends are
and then Knox. He might come up later.
We can wait.
It's because we need to fill out more of our flex position still with guys, and then I think that we might see the tight ends bubble up a little later.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't have the strong. Like, scroll up to the top of our team. Yeah, we just don't have the strongest wide receiver projection right now. It's like Nico Collins is awesome. Very glad we made that pick. And then it's like Watson and Dobbs are our next guys. So we definitely are going to need some help at the position. But then after we address that, we're pretty good at running back. So I would anticipate that we could see some tight ends bubble up here later. So this is a spot. This is a spot where I think a lot of people who are just using the Sims for the first time would be like, okay, I can IKB off Higgins because he goes really late and there's no risk of someone taking him from me. But me personally, this is a spot where you're in waters that are uncharted enough for you. Like, it's hard to memorize this far down the game tree with all the little subtle differences that happen to know what actually do the Sims want after Jaden Higgins. And if you happen to have this spot committed to memory and it's a player that would go before Jaden Higgins most times, then you can IKB to that. But here, I think it's most likely it's going to be those tight ends, not yet, but after, Dontavion Wicks or something. So I think you take Higgins here because you're telling the Sims, like, I actually don't know what the next most valuable pick is here because I don't have that in my brain for this specific spot. And so I do need you to tell me. Rather than the spots where I want to IKB is like, I know what the next most valuable thing is here. And
it's trying to build out a pure Texans Super Bowl, it looks like to me.
Yep.
Because we have Nico, Marks, Higgins, Stroud, Schultz. So we get one more Texan and we've got Texans covered.
Yep. And then I wonder if it's going to care about another Texan because it's like, whatever, you only are making all the money when the Texans get there anyway. Let's give you even better win percentage when the Texans make the Super Bowl. Or if that happens infrequently enough and the win equity you get, isn't that much more significant, is it better?
Or it's going to be the tight end or an advanced piece.
Yeah. You could see a Packer too. You could see like Dontavion Wicks bubble up more over here.
If it's a Packer, I mean, I think I'm IKB in that. I'm taking Wiley.
Yeah.
Our boy in the chat, or Knox. I might do Knox. Yeah.
I feel like Musgrave had like a pretty bad stretch, but I feel like he was starting.
He got targeted last week.
Yeah.
But his route participation is not very good.
It's still bad. Yeah, but I think that he is who they'd prefer to. They're like, we'd really love for you to win this job, Luke. Like they made the position that he's, they put up a posting for a new position and they like really catered the interview questions to him and he like kind of flubbed it on the first go. And they're like, we're having second rounds. Don't worry. Come back in the second round of interviews. You're invited back. They're just really trying to get him the job. I think that's their idea, but they want it to work.
Referral bonus if it's Musgrave.
Yeah, they want it to work. He got 4 targets on only 9 routes last week, so they want it to work, man. But
we'll take Noel here, right?
Yeah, I like Noel. It'll flip back and forth between Noel and Kirk here.
And then let's see what this is the.
Yeah, this part
interesting one. Okay, so it's advanced rate.
Piece. Yeah.
And Knox is pretty far down. Bucky's an advanced rate piece I'm on board with. Otherwise, I think I'd rather IKB and get a tight end and fill out another Super Bowl.
I'm fine with either here. The thing you can check how strong the room is. Did anyone commit seppuku? Are they like dead to advance out of round 1? I don't see any like Cowboys being drafted or Bengals or anything. So yeah, we can do the advance rate piece then.
Now the Bucky's only 55% chance to be there.
Right. He projects for a lot of points and also pretend you took a guy that's a higher probability to be in there. How is he going to crack? number one, just probably doesn't project for very many points and doesn't actually crack your lineup over James Cook, Josh Jacobs, right? So the secret behind Bucky is he scores enough points enough of the time to actually hit your lineup and be meaningful for increasing your advance rate. Where if you're like, oh, I'm just going to take a guy who helps me later, who's more likely to even be in the playoffs than Bucky, I'll get whatever. Let's pretend Zach Charbonnet was there or something. Like, I'll take Zach Charbonnet. It's like, yeah, Zach Charbonnet just doesn't hit your lineup very often. It doesn't matter if he's alive. He's alive on your bench.
Yeah,
he doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Panthers for advance rate stuff.
My
feeling they're just like they project worse.
Yeah. The right now we got the Panthers at 44% to make the playoffs, Bucks at 55. That'll update. The Bucks should lose a little bit, and the Panthers, well, we have to see the Panthers play, but the Bucks should lose a little bit of that. We haven't updated the Bucks like team strength after their game, after their most recent loss. We just updated, their schedule outcome, and so they could come down to earth a little bit more. But it also does depend on like how much the Panthers move down as well if they don't have a good week. So yeah, that's a spot to watch. But no, basically, I'm not super interested in either of those teams. And if I am going to take them, I want to take the piece that projects for the most points, which is like Bucky or Mike Evans, just depending on what you need.
It's interesting. I feel like on DraftKings, it's a little bit more projection pilled, and both are 1 of 6. Is that, you think, just because like the good pieces on DraftKings can score even that much higher?
I think it has to do with the behavior of your opponents, where on Underdog you get people that are just, it feels like Underdog drafters build lower projected lineups for round 1 projection in general, because I think more of
the
ADP
shifting.
I think more of that population. Also, the tight end difference is a pretty big deal. I think where basically on Underdog, you're adding in players to the pool that score a lot for like the top couple tight ends, where it's like these guys are still fine enough to draft like they're a wide receiver. That's how much they actually can score. And on DraftKings, it's like, no, you need these tight end points. And it makes wide receiver even thinner, right? Because you just took a couple guys out of the wide receiver pool effectively, the difference between Underdog and DraftKings. So.
How do you feel about drafting Texans-Packers?
Yeah, that's fine. You can do.
Yeah, no, I think it's good.
I
like the Texans. Texans are kind of one of the teams I'm IKBing too, where I just feel like that they have a defense that's championship caliber.
So you can do this kind of stuff where you're probably sacrificing a little expected value because you're basically getting rid of one really strong projected advance rate piece and a player that's likely to be live for a long time in the playoffs by foregoing a player with an actual round 1 ADP. But you can do something like Jacobs Nico in the first 2 rounds, then Christian Watson in the third. Then here, yeah, I like CMC, I like JSN.
Let's do JSN.
Either of those.
I just have so much more faith in the Seahawks to make the Super Bowl.
But yeah, you can basically skip a player with a first-round ADP and start your Houston and Packers thing early and just have a team of all of them. I don't think that's terrible, and I do think that's a thing that the Sims are really useful for when you're like, how would I actually execute this? Where the Sims won't drive you into that spot themselves. But you could choose to say, hey, I want to do this, Sims. Let me get it started for you. And then you kind of show me if there's any little nuances along the way I should be looking out for.
Yeah. And we should mention, if you're interested in signing up for the Sidekick, the yearly subscription covers pre-NFL draft best ball and summer best ball. So you get about 10 months of drafting, which works out to about $50 per month. Or if you only use it for about 6 of those months, it's 80, works out to 83 a month. So yeah, it covers a full 12 months if you get the yearly. But yeah, the thing with playoff best ball that's so different compared to normal best ball is like as soon as you take a player, all the other players dramatically change value. And honestly, I think that's why it's so fun is that you kind of like immediately end up in lanes where you're like only competing with maybe one or two other people. And then you're hoping someone randomly doesn't swerve into your lane. Sometimes you randomly swerve into someone else's lane, which can be frustrating for them. But yeah, what you pick then changes what you need to pick in the future in a massive way.
There have been rooms where Jalen Hurts has still been on the board in the 7th round. I'm like, God, I wish I could take Jalen Hurts, but he is not a good pick for my team. Yeah. All
right, so here's those Eagles. So we could do Eagles, right? I bet you we get a bunch of Eagles if we take Barkley.
I've had this exact start where I've gotten JSN plus every Eagle, and that is like, you want to talk about like getting Eagles to the Super Bowl and having like that Eagles onslaught be really worth something. Like, give me one down week from some Eagles pieces where you needed a JSN nuke week to get it through, and then you get it through with everything, and you show up in the Super Bowl as one of the only full Eagles onslaughts. That's a pretty.
He took Brown. He's got Kerrane. This dude has Kerrane available. I mean, he may take him now, but that's frustrating.
Yeah, it's crazy to pass on the Puka Kerrane combo.
Well, he might not.
Yeah, he's just going to get boxed out of all the best ways to play it because he has no staff.
Oh, he did pass on it.
He's got to. I mean, the best thing he can do from this spot. The way that we play it then is to pray Nico comes back or to play like Bo Nix. So how or Jags. So do you like those?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's use Barkley as an advance rate piece to get Kerrane through.
Well, you can basically play it as either are going to get to the Super Bowl.
Either get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Will never have more than one Ram, basically, right? We could potentially end up with 2 Eagles, so it might even be easier for us to get Eagles. But yeah, Nico coming back is our dream. Harvey coming back is good for us. Walker coming back is decent.
Would you take Hurts?
Loses a little value.
Or the Kerrane pick kind of makes that tougher. We're not going to have any receivers there.
You're just gonna run out of the Eagles receivers. It's not the worst thing in the world. You're basically just gonna play the same thing that we were talking about of like, all right, do you like doing Texans? Do you like doing Jags? But you'll have Hurts as the quarterback, and then you'll go like Jags receivers or something. So it's not dead. But Nix goes, and so we could. Yeah, Nico can make sense to get back to us here. Because this guy probably needs Harvey if he's and then here this guy should really want Diggs based on what he's doing.
No, he takes Nico.
God, I want to punish him. You want to just do a Jalen Hurts and then Steph Diggs? Fuck this guy. don't actually.
Do you want to do Hurts?
Yeah, you can do Hurts and then Devonta, but I'm worried that if we do Hurts first, we lose Devonta and we're in trouble.
We're going to lose Devonta, but he's going to take Hurts with Brown, so we're not getting Hurts. So who's more?
I don't know that he takes Hurts with Brown. I don't know. You can try Hurts here and risk it. Yeah, that's fine.
I think he's taking Hurts because he doesn't have a quarterback, and he's got Brown. I don't know what he's doing.
He should want to take Jags here is what he should want to do. He should want to go.
He's not going to take Jags.
I know.
He's doing a bunch of nonsense.
That's why DK can be really interesting. Just like
I think it's so much more likely to me that he'd go Hurts Brown, right? Oh, he took Smith. God damn it.
Yeah.
I don't know what this guy's doing. I think we go Goddard. Let's go Goddard.
Yeah, I think we do Goddard.
Oh, look at that sack.
The Sims are in your head.
All right, let's go.
And then we're praying the ETN makes it back to us.
We need to go Jags with this stuff.
Yeah, the other thing you could have done
Broncos?
if you were a spiteful man, you could have gone Steph Diggs here and been like, Diggs. I hope I get Dallas Goedert back.
Oh, dude, I am seriously.
You're dialed.
I'm dialed right now. I think Broncos receivers gives us.
Yeah, Broncos receivers. They just probably don't make it back.
Jags.
They don't make it back.
Yeah, they don't make it back.
This guy's committing Sudoku over here with the double bye teams of Rams
I
and
don't think he's committing Sudoku.
oh, ETN goes. Okay.
Man, this DraftKings is wild.
We still
This
can
is
get
fun,
there
though.
to the Jag stuff because we've got Barkley. You know what? The crazy thing is, like, these are the teams where, you know, you look at your teams that you still have alive for a sweat in like round 3, and you're like, oh shit, wow, okay, yeah. So if Jags do make it, I've got Eagles, Jags, and I've got all 6 pieces too. Okay. It's like not conventional, not the way I drew it up, but
No, these teams I find very, very fun, actually.
Jacoby Myers goes is bad for us. It's really bad for us. We are going to be out of receivers, bud.
So what do we do here? Do we just take Thomas?
Oh God.
We could get into Washington or something like that. No, I mean, it's gonna be. Do we want to just? Is there another team we can look at on the AFC side?
I regret to inform you, it might be time to wave the flag, brother. I think we might just take Ken Walker. You can take Brian Thomas first if it makes you feel better.
It does.
But this is, I think it's good to get drafts like this where people can see, like, on DraftKings, it's very possible for stuff to go so bad that your outs to get a live Super Bowl outcome through are too thin for that to be positive expected value, and you should just be caring about advance rate, and that is where we're at. So and then it's not like we're full like punting it, being like, fuck this stupid tournament, man. Just give me my min cash. I'm getting out of here. I'll never play.
No, we're trying to get
to the finals with like 4 out of 6 live or 5 out of 6 live, right? So you get give me a couple $1,000 when the thing hits for me instead of $1 million. That's a pretty big difference, but it's better than nothing. And also it is correct to do in certain rooms. And it's if you're thinking of this through like a lens of like, how do I play to not be exploitable? Like when people take your stuff like this, there needs to be punishment. The consequences are you're no longer advanced. You're just not advancing hey, you fuck with me, like this is not a roster you'll be advancing. It will be so you can come back after the Super Bowl and look at your week 1 wild card round eliminated teams and find this one and be like, oh, dude, if this made it through, it would have been so dope, but this idiot in the 2-hole just took all advance rate pieces. You're like, you're goddamn right I did.
How much revenge did we program into the Sims?
Honestly, there have been spots where people like send me a screenshot and be like, wow, the Sims just protected the integrity of this contest so hard. Or like snipes Jalen Hurts from a guy who has all the Eagles or something because they had like Drake May or Matt Stafford and needed a quarterback anyway. It was like there's no opportunity cost for them at the skill positions they needed.
I woke up and chose violence. Yeah.
It's less about like I'm doing it to stick it to someone else and more about like this is what's best for my expected value. And it happens to be the thing that totally shafts you. I don't think Darnold's bad because we got JSN Walker. We can backdoor our way.
Honestly, we might have been. You may have been wrong here. We might be backdooring a Seattle thing.
We're gonna backdoor a Seattle thing. It's just like it's not gonna be the nuts. You're not taking first the vast majority of the time because like. Walk me through the Seattle Super Bowl outcome where we have the nuts,
It's honestly, it's probably Patriot. It's whoever gets the bye, and it's just super hard to advance them. It's like a low scoring bye team.
Yeah. I'd like it better if we had, one of those Patriots pieces that could be important than, or one of those Broncos pieces that could be.
What do you think about Barner over Charbonnet? We'll probably get both.
Yeah, that's fine. No one ever takes Zach Charbonnet. He's like,
he's
just always free. Yeah, it's just gonna give us a like Seahawks onslaught where it's like we'll lose to the Seahawks teams that got some really cool piece like a James Cook JSN or Travion Henderson or RJ Harvey, like all that stuff. Like we'll lose to that. But this is still going to be good enough to get us a solid cash when Seattle.
This is more than like min cash stuff now.
No,
we get
yeah.
the Super Bowl.
Right, yeah, and usually that's what the Sims are going. They're not going for like limp into the finals and die in situations like this.
Yeah.
You're giving me them for the list, so I know who to add to the shit list. Who blew up our team?
That's not what I was doing. I was pulling
Too
up
late.
the payout
They've been
structure.
committed to memory.
I've been pulling out the payout structure. I think if we get like bye-week team to the Super Bowl, I think here's what we want. We want like Broncos get the bye, and people aren't drafting like that, and then it's just really hard to get Broncos to the Super Bowl, and they don't score that well anyway.
Yep.
Is drafting Ravens? This is a good. Maybe we can do. This is a segment. Sudoku or Sabuku?
I mean,
drafting Ravens.
When I say Sudoku, it's just because it's funnier than saying seppuku.
We understand, but now we're twisting it to where Sudoku is actually a game of skill and logic.
No, Ravens is seppuku.
Okay, all right.
The one you could convince me is Sudoku, where it's like a little thin is like drafting lions. That can be Sudoku,
Yeah.
I don't like the prices I see a lot of people get the lions at, because you're like, you nullify your advantage that you're gaining often with how they do it. But
so Shahid's pretty important because we don't have another
receiver. We need receivers, yeah.
So Shahid's a smash, a light smash, a tap. Shahid's a tap.
Yeah, and now I think you do Sharps.
You do Sharps for sure. Wow, look at that. I mean,
No, yeah, it's not.
We were just trying to get the money back. We're not trying to get the money back. We're trying to win this motherfucking tournament.
I mean, yeah, when I frame it in that way, I'm not saying like, oh, the Sidekick's just going to draft all players from different teams and like throw it out the window, right? That's not what it's going to do. It's just like it's looking at like the next, if you're climbing a ladder to like the highest prize you can get to, sometimes it decides that the very highest rung is out of reach and it's going to climb to the second rung from the top, right? And that's really, and you can notice that progression, that the more and more dire it gets, it's like, now we're 3 rungs to the top. Oh, now we're you can tell kind of from the way the recommendation. There are times like this will happen if you get blown up on drafting a bye team, where it's like, oh, I was drafting bye teams and I can't really feel the Super Bowl. Dude, some of the picks you see at the end of the draft that are wild. It's like you need every Charger because you need pieces that could project still for points. So you have good Chargers pieces that people aren't drafting. Then it's like, and actually, dude, the Colts make the playoffs and you need Jonathan Taylor. Like the only thing that saves you is a Jonathan Taylor playoff game. Otherwise, sayonara.
Oh man.
I've only seen that like once, but it can happen when you get into a really bad spot.
Yeah, I was in a bad spot the other day. And it recommended Phillip Rivers. Do you think I was pretty dead then?
Never recommended.
No, I know it's never. I mean, Phillip Rivers is not recommended, but that would be about as dead as it could be.
Yeah, if you see Phillip Rivers on the top of the Sidekick, let us know immediately. Let us know urgently. We're concerned for your safety.
Well, what have you done? First, we want to see the picks that you did that unlocks the Phillip Rivers recommendation, because I don't know how that would be possible, but yeah, all right. Seahawks onslaught.
Yeah, this is
the other thing, dude. And now the Sims don't know this, but if you're gonna do this type of build, it's kind of more fun with the Seahawks, like the Seahawks defense, right? You're like, who can just are we really that in trouble? Is RJ Harvey gonna bury us? Really?
It's just unlikely that. Yeah, I guess you're really hoping, like you said, you're hoping for Broncos bye and they just can't score points. Like, yeah, there are some outcomes where this could be the nuts. It's just so much thinner than a lot of the ones that you would like to have, right?
Sure.
It's just I'm like, so I got really
the guy in the one hole tilted us pretty bad there.
I got so spoiled with how good the teams were that I was drafting last night. It depends on what you've been getting lately. Like, dude, there was a week where I was just like looking for water in the desert. I couldn't draft a good team to save my life.
Well, there was a night. It was on Monday because it was during the Eagles Chargers game, and I was sharing teams that I was getting, and they were all pretty good. A lot of them were Eagles teams because people were watching the game and they were like, "Nope." So I was just drafting a bunch of Eagles stuff, and you had stopped drafting that night because you just kept getting.
I kept getting blown up, man. I would like set up the same Eagle stuff you were doing, and you're getting every Eagle at major discount. And you're like, oh, I think I have room to go ahead and fit a Stephon
Kind of sick
Diggs
of
and a
drafting
Hunter
all the
Henry here.
Eagles.
Yeah. You're like, oh, Jalen Hurts in the 8th again. That's neat. And I'm like, dude, I can't put together a team to save my life right now. So it just depends on DK. If you find yourself in a good like batch of rooms and you notice some names that you're happy to draft against because they're clicking Cowboys or Bengals or something like that, you just keep swimming all the waters warm.
Let me see. Oh, maybe I shared it with you.
We've got someone in the chat who wants to see us do an off the wall first and second round. Probably something better where it's like we're pulling up 2 teams and foregoing a pick.
Yeah, it's easy to go off the wall when it's streamer credits.
Yeah, the ones that I liked the best to do that in the previous draft window was Packers Broncos. It's pretty good. But now Broncos are more expensive, so you're less guaranteed to get them all. And so I don't like that as much anymore. The other one that I like now, I don't like as much on DraftKings because you need to get all the pieces, and missing out on the tight end piece is very punishing. That's Patriots. I like pulling up. Patriots 49ers are like pretty good to do together, where you can get them all, where you just pull May up to the second. You do CMC first, May in the second, and then but you can end up getting sniped on some of the really important pieces. So I'm trying to think if there's anything that's actually like super desirable here, and it's probably just Texans and Packers, if that's a thing you're trying to do. But
I feel like you can build Texans and Packers without going off the wall.
Right. So
I'm just gonna have a worse version.
Yeah, for me, it's not one that I'm super excited to do that on. But it's nice to like have that club in your bag where you're like, actually, there are times where there's enough really good picks that go in the second round and work in concert together, where I could take one in the first and then one in the second, and then have 2 really strong teams uncontested and just onslaught them both. That's kind of what you're looking for, but it just doesn't fall perfectly right now. But just know that's a thing to do as the information changes here.
Yeah, it's just hard when JSN's sitting at 4 not to take him.
Yeah.
Which is why we're going to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. It's hard to get to the Super Bowl, so why talk yourself off certain starts? They got Puka, Adams, Kerrane, so no LA Rams going for me forward, etc. I don't really understand the second part of your question.
Because you will make no money when you do make it to the Super Bowl with your Tutu Atwell. You can valiantly cheer for all your friends that will be outscoring you, because some teams will exist with Puka or Kerrane or Adams or combinations of them.
I don't understand. I guess
he's saying like, oh, just because the first 3 Rams are gone, why would you not take other Rams? And it's because you don't project for any. Just like you don't play Showdown and use $22,000 of salary, you wouldn't do this, right? Like, you're very contrarian to the point where you're not scoring any points.
Corum can outscore Kerrane, though.
Sure. And, my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle. Like, yeah, those things can happen. They just don't happen all the time, and they don't happen at a high enough frequency for that to be a thing where you want to like build your whole strategy out of that. Just like
what I would say is it's a volume game. So just like build a team that's really good for a certain type of outcome, and then build a different team that's really good when the Rams make the Super Bowl. Is generally how to play it. And you'll have some quorum on your Ram stuff, but just like building really thin Ram stuff all the time is just don't build Rams in that room if you don't get Rams, as I think the higher EV way to play it. Adams is
pretty fun here. Let's do Adams, because we can
only
end up
one of
playing
these
this
teams
through Texans.
Yeah. Right.
I like this as a
dude. Zach, look at that.
Yeah, I like this.
You really are Allen, aren't you?
I like this as the Texans spot, because one of the other hard things on DK is you just run out of wide receiver projection so quick, and you end up needing to use so many roster spots on wide receiver points, because it's like, yeah, these guys will score in the Super Bowl. What about before that? I need people to score points. And here we're like, okay, one of JSN or Adams is active in round 1, and then we've got Nico Collins, who's very likely active in round 1. Those guys are set. And then when we're round 2 and on, we probably have like the strongest projecting wide receiver rooms in whatever pods we show up in. And so you end up not having to allocate as many roster spots to wide receiver. And that can actually be really nice for building out some of those broader Super Bowl bets where you're getting like, we get lots of Texans and then we get lots of one-offs into the NFC where it's like we have mother. That was painful. That was really painful. Well, you could do Stafford here if you want it. You can also do Kittle, and then you're
Stafford.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that Nico snipe was brutal, man.
That was brutal. Well, we were talking. People are saying backstacking the Rams can work, assuming they get the bye. I mean, with Stafford and Adams, I guess you can. You can do Corum and. Are we taking 212? I mean, you're taking Parkinson and probably betting on a.
We probably
AFC
need. Yeah, we probably need to end up with Jags here pretty badly.
Did Diggs go? We could do Diggs.
I don't think you can do Diggs here.
Why not?
I mean, you can do Diggs, and then you can look at this team, after week 1 and be like, oh, dude, if only this advanced. We're going to run into a spot where it's going to be too hard to advance. That's why we're seeing George Kittle here. We're probably going to need a bye tight end, right? We're either Rams tight end or.
I really want to go Diggs. Can we just do Diggs?
Rams, yeah, you can.
Rams
yeah,
Patriots Super Bowl, brother.
All right, it's going to be thin. Do Diggs and then look at the room. Let's see if we are going to have any hope of advancing this. Does anyone do anything crazy? Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. And this guy's doing the Lions and Rams. So yeah, I think we're in a pretty bad spot because when the Rams don't get the bye and we gain back that equity, we're actually the dog to this guy who has the. So kudos to the one hole. He's doing
and those are correlated in that the Rams are less likely to get the bye when the Lions make the playoffs, right?
Yep, because they play.
They actually pair really well together.
Yeah. But yeah, here's ETN. ETN's beautiful for us. We basically need him. We also really need Hunter Henry. We backed ourselves into a thing where it can work, but we need these exact guys to make it to us. And we kind of strongly.
And if it's not those guys, the team is dead. This is one of those teams that could just be dead.
Kind of strongly prefer both of them.
Yeah. Well, Rashee Rice helps us there.
Yeah, that is helpful.
Oh, Blake Corum goes.
This guy takes Corum. Yeah, that's fine because we're going to have to take Ramondre now. So now this is going to want you to pivot into
Seahawks.
Into Seahawks and Patriots probably.
Which I'm fine with. What if we do Henry here?
Do Henry
first.
We
want to get.
Yeah, do Henry first.
So I don't really care between those two paths. I think those are probably both fine. Oh, it didn't like that pick at all, Sack. It thinks our team is dead now.
yeah, because we have no points right now. We're gonna have to show it the way through the woods here. Yeah, I think. Yeah, we're kind of in a pretzel here because it does think that we're dead. We just need too much. This is what it looks like when you need everything all at once, right? The Sims are well, you don't have any points at tight end or wide receiver, and probably not quarterback. You do have JSN, so that's cool, but you need a lot to get out of round 1 still.
Let's take Purdy because I think he's.
You don't need Purdy here. No.
Okay.
I mean, not for what we're trying to do. I think you want Ken Walker.
Okay.
Yeah, ETN goes. You need Ken Walker here. You're going to run out of. You're running out of running back projection. Yeah, Sims agree. You need Ken Walker when ETN goes. And when we take Henry there, we just start leaving ourselves less and less room for other stuff. It's we're filling up our roster with stuff that's only really going to help us in the Super Bowl. I mean, Henry and Diggs can help us in round 2 and round 3, but we're going to look at what we need for the Super Bowl if we're playing Rams, right? Rams, Patriots. We still need a running back, so we have to get Ramondre, and we still need a flex position. Yeah. So
this is just hard as hell.
Correct.
Now, going back to the question that people are asking with the Rams, if it is Rams Patriots, given we just tried to build Rams Patriots and it's like so hard, doesn't that create, some paths to having like
I have really
Tutu
sick
or Parkinson, stuff like that?
You're welcome to try. And I've got a bunch of it where I've got the nuts instead. I've got
what's the nuts thing?
Stafford, Puka, Kerrane, Adams, Diggs, May. Like you could get that early on DraftKings, and it's and it doesn't even have to be that version of the nuts. Like obviously that's crazy.
How do you get that through? Like what's the rest of the team?
I mean, earlier I was able to get like Nico Collins in the super late rounds. I was able to get Woody.
You like Darnold here?
Right? Darnold's fine. I think I probably prefer just the projection pieces. So give me Brian Thomas. No one's going to take our Sam Darnold. But yeah, we want Darnold eventually. But I think we need pieces that are going to score points. So can you go to the draft board? I need to see what people are doing.
Sorry.
All right. Okay. Okay, so Marks is gone. So we're really we got to take Ramondre right now. We can't risk losing Ramondre. If we lose Ramondre, it's all for naught, right? The Sims are not going to like Ramondre because it's like you can't advance this, and we probably can't. but we're trying.
Well, maybe the Patriots don't get the bye.
Yeah, no, there are times when that happens. We're probably dead then, though, right? Because there's a guy with Travion Henderson and Drake May.
Oh, right. Yeah. All right. So Stevenson.
Yeah, you go Stevenson first here. Because basically what we have been telling the Sims with our IKBs are the Patriots are so likely to make the Super Bowl and the Rams are so much more likely to make the Super Bowl. We're basically like saying this is the only thing. And the Sims are like, are you sure about that? Because I see lots of outcomes that aren't that thing when I'm evaluating them. And so that's why you're having a little trouble seeing something here that is what you're trying to force it into. Right. Because it's just really thin and it's having trouble getting the advanced rate pieces that you need through. Because now it's like, all right, dude, if you're going to actually do this, I guess you're going to need like Bucky Irving or something to get you through. And we still need a tight end for round 1. And yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, I was thinking about Bucky, to be honest. So Darnold goes, so we can't do that.
Yeah, so Darnold going is unfortunate for us. We definitely lose out a little bit there, but it's not the end of the world because, again, we're saying, hey, it's very specifically Patriots.
Now it's got Booty here for us.
Yeah. I mean, we can take Booty and just pray we don't get sniped on Stroud because we would prefer him over the other guys. But
let's take Booty.
And so now we're set, right? We're Booty, Diggs, Henry, Adams, Ramondre, and Stafford. So we're good now. We can't take any more Rams or Patriots, and now it's just get us the heck out of round 1.
What do you think about like a Caleb Swift type of thing?
How are those correlated with? I'm trying to think about how those correlate with Rams and Seattle bye probabilities. Because the Bears bye probability is just about 6%. The Rams are 46 and Seattle's 23. So Seattle's taking the majority of the Rams stuff.
I'm just trying to think who can actually score like a bunch of points round 1 at quarterback.
I think I probably prefer Herbert or Stroud. Yeah. Stroud is fine, especially just because he's there the most often. Like he's actually playing in round one the most often of those guys. We've already got a pretty thin thing going, so we don't need to.
Man,
Like,
this is a, you weren't kidding. This is a really difficult path.
yeah, and there's ways to do this that's a lot less difficult too, which is why I try to not force the stuff like this, because you end up, you're like, I just built a worse version of the nuts and it's harder to advance. Like, because the other ones that you could get without crazy stuff happening, take Puka from the one of the two Rams comes back to me, I'm smoking you in any Rams Super Bowl that I actually get through, right? I get Puka Adams, and then later I do like Ramondre Stevenson, and I have a Hunter Henry, and I got Booty and Mac.
Well, you don't have the quarterback there, do you?
I fit in a May or a Stafford there,
okay.
With my other part of my 2-3 turn.
Do you want to grab Bucky here? I think Schultz comes back probably.
Yeah, Bucky's fine. Schultz is a little more contested than you'd think, but I think Bucky's fine. They're both fine.
A nice advance rate piece. And God, do we need it?
Yeah, we also need the tight end really bad because we don't have tight end points in round one. We need it. We need it. That's the thing. Like, we needed it all the whole way in this draft.
Yeah, but we could do Ingram. Tight end, I think like Dalton Schultz could score like 4 points pretty easily.
Yeah.
He's nice because he's tied with the same quarterback, so we get him multiple rounds of it, but it's not a.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that huge of a deal. I mean, this team isn't going to advance, but like it might get close.
Let's see, because we need Brian Thomas, Stroud, Bucky Irving, Ken Walker, JSN, and then this tight end. It has a chance. It's not a 0 to advance, right? But it's also not particularly high.
Right.
It's definitely going to be below expectation. It's advancing fewer than 1 out of 6 times on average.
100%. Do you are you upset that we got sniped on Ronnie Rivers?
I'm not upset that we got sniped on Ronnie Rivers.
We didn't actually get sniped. We could take him if we wanted. So this guy already has 2 tight ends. Hopefully he doesn't take Schultz. And then, yeah, we got Schultz anyway.
Okay. Yeah, so this one's alive. And like, we managed to keep it from being totally dead. The Sims were telling us, though, like, hey, guys, I think you're in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. But, sometimes you got to just go your own way.
Yeah. I mean,
I got to hike through the jungle for no reason.
I do really like trying to get it to give me more Patriot stuff. But, yeah, if you do it like that, and you're not setting yourself up for, if we get Nico there, man, Nico really.
Yeah, Nico, I mean, it almost worked.
That was the backbreaker, right?
Losing
Nico was the backbreaker.
It was. And then, I'm just starting to think about Patriots are going to make the Super Bowl. So this will be the last one, I think. And we're going to shut it down. I could maybe do one more over on Underdog after this if you got time.
Yeah, I think I got time for one more after this.
All right. Do one on Underdog. Yeah. I kind of felt like going back to Underdog too. It's fun to go back and forth.
It's hard to end on a low note too. Like when you
well, I didn't want to end on that with DraftKings, but I also think it's kind of fun to go back to Underdog. So we'll do 2 more. We'll do this one and then an Underdog one to close out. Yeah, these are always fun. Appreciate you guys watching. Hit the like button, help the video out. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. We're going to be doing more of these.
Yeah, the hardest thing is like knowing, hey, the rooms are just not conducive to drafting really strong teams right now for this particular window. And so I'm just gonna not draft.
Well, you could do like the Little Minton. That's gonna fill.
Yeah, no, I mean, what I normally do on Underdog is I alternate back and forth between Mitten and Gauntlet, and then I've got Little Mitten to where I've only got 5 entries left in it, just because I thought it might like snap fill when the weekend got here, and I didn't want to like have to cram a bunch of them in there. But I'll just go back and forth between them. And if I'm noticing the rooms in one of them are just like really consistently filling with like soft action, I'll just focus on that one for a little bit. Just trying to get people who are drafting back to back that I am happy to be in the same room with. All right, have the 5 spot here. Definitely like that.
I like the 5. 5 is tricky because what you really want is Allen to fall, I think. And then
You'd love Josh Allen to fall.
But it's unlikely. He doesn't really fall to 6.
I've seen him fall this. I've seen a full first round with no quarterbacks happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many Panthers Steelers onslaughts do you have?
0.
I think, yes, they will do another little mitten one, I assume. But point being, it's a little bit, if you're like, oh, man, I really don't like drafting right now. I don't think you're getting like great combos. Drafting something that like opened up this week is probably going to fill this week. Everyone's going to have those same types of combos. So that was my point there.
Yeah, if you're trying to max it, you gotta do it anyway, you know?
Yeah.
If you're not, you know, like a completionist sicko, then you don't need to max everything. You're just drafting for the joy of drafting, then yeah, you don't have to draft if you're not having fun.
Of course. Yeah, I don't know. Do you think that's one of these windows though?
Right now is good.
Yeah,
right
it feels good to me.
I was more, when I was talking about it, I'm more talking about like the rooms that I'm getting of like, dude, I've got these same 2 guys that keep showing up in every room, and they keep just taking all the pieces that, like, here's a guy who like intentionally is taking, when I take a quarterback, he immediately double taps the next 2 skill position players by ADP on that team. Feels like he's just fucking with me. You know, like when you get people like that in your rooms, just like let them go torch their money by themselves. You don't need to torch it with them. Because those people exist here. Like people who are just literally there to snipe your stuff, to be like, haha, got him. Like, okay, dude.
Right.
I'll take your money from being in a different draft room. Like you can lose your money.
So we did the James Cook thing. I'm kind of over that.
Yeah, where you pigeonhole yourself. Do Barkley because it's safer, right?
Let's do Barkley. In a way, Barkley Jacobs is a nice start.
Yeah, no, I do Barkley Jacobs. I do Barkley Cook. You can do Barkley AJ Brown, and then you can do Barkley Hurts if you really want to play it safe. If you're like, I don't usually do it that way. Sometimes you'll get it recommended that way on the Sims, but I noticed that it's a lot easier for Hurts to come back when you have both Barkley and AJ Brown than it is for AJ Brown to come back, because people.
That's very true. Hurts can fall, man.
Yeah.
It's almost like people have been watching him.
He does look bad.
He does.
Looks quite bad at the game. Oh, right. Yeah.
Cook came back.
Yeah, that's great. Because this is what that's why it basically, the way the Sims are evaluating stuff is they're like, all right, if I took James Cook here, all the future paths we could take have all these different outcomes, and the James Cook path, where I have James Cook on these teams, is worth the most because stuff like Cook Barkley exists in that subset of paths, right? And so that's why it's pretty into Cook, because the Barkley stuff is just like, well, if I take Barkley first, then I likely don't get Cook back most of the time, right? And this is you kind of like knowing better than the Sims, or like, hey, actually, sometimes I do get Cook back. And so that same path that is making Cook be so valuable actually still exists when I take Barkley first. But yeah, the Sims aren't expecting James Cook to fall into the second round there because his ADP is higher.
Right. Yeah, and some of the worst Cook outcomes, you said it. I mean, Barkley's safer. And so, yeah, the painful Cook stuff. So this is nice. So what's your dream when you're getting a Barkley Cook start?
Your dream is that you get the whole Eagles thing back. And then when you don't get it back, you actually can play this off either side to where it could be Eagles still, or you can end up going into like a different AFC side where if Drake May comes back, You could go May into Eagles, and then you have James Cook be like an advance rate piece. So there's a lot of different stuff you can do from here. Of course, May doesn't come back.
He might take Hurts here. Or he could take Kittle, which would be better.
Kittle, if he were using the sidekick, Kittle would be top guy for him. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So do you want to go Hurts here and hope to get Devontae back?
Yeah, you're unlikely to get sniped on Devonta around the turn from this guy.
Are we more likely to get sniped on Devontae or Hurts?
You can take Devontae first if you want to. I think you're more likely to get sniped on Hurts with what this guy has. He should want Christian Watson, and Bo Nix. But
all right, let's say Hurts. Hurts is a little safer, and we can always get
a guy that pulls up RJ Harvey like that. It's usually because someone who's doing that where it's not like a random player that doesn't make any sense to pull up. Where it's like, oh yeah, the Broncos have like the second best Super Bowl odds. Like I'm just gonna pull them up, or on the AFC. That's probably someone who's like thinking about this more rather than like a dude who took he goes Watson next. A guy who takes like Derrick Henry there in the second or Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah,
there. That person's just like Jahmyr Gibbs, awesome DFS smash this week. It's like, dude, this contest isn't until January. It's like, what? Like it's hard to get into the mind of that guy, but someone who pulls up RJ Harvey, like you kind of know what you're getting from
him. The Sims record all the drafts it's in. No, we don't. We're not taking. We have the ADP is the Sims window to when players are likely to go. It also doesn't have the access to your draft. So if you're using the sidekick, you do need to keep track of the portfolio that you're building. It'll break ties. And not always in the same way because you're using a subset of the total Sims. So guys like Jacoby Myers and Brian Thomas, or guys like Romeo Dobbs and Jaden Reed will flip. Not like 50-50 necessarily, but there will be you won't always see the same guy ahead. But so and that helps you build a more balanced portfolio if you're starting out. But it does not have like your portfolio baked into it. So that's something you want to keep in mind. It also doesn't have the specific rooms. It's based on the market.
I do think like portfolio management in playoff basketball is just very much about don't you dare diversify during your objective while drafting is never to diversify. The way that you solve that is by using the Sims to break those ties that are close spots at the frequency that's appropriate. And then draft during different windows of the playoff basketball, the different information windows. Hey, we've got a new outcome from a Monday Night Football game, so the market should shift based on that. That's a new window. We get a new outcome from a Thursday night game. That's a new window. New outcome from a Sunday slate, new window. You want to draft during all the different windows. That is how you diversify.
Yeah, I agree. It's the windows. It's making sure you're drafting in different windows.
Goddard is awesome for us here.
Goddard's really good for us.
So yeah, now because think through this, like the only thing that we really are fading now is AJ Brown and Josh Allen in that Super Bowl when we get Bills Eagles. So we're pretty happy there. It's also really unlikely that someone has this. I mean, it's impossible. I've never seen someone have this plus Josh Allen plus Cook plus Barkley Smith Goddard, right? That's not a thing I've ever seen. I have seen people get Hurts plus all of this.
Do you want to do? Let's do Myers if we're doing them, because it seems like maybe we'll get recommended both.
Yep.
To help get wide receivers through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like the vibes are higher with Myers.
I do mix it up here with the way that the Sims usually will shake it up for me, but I don't particularly care.
I just think the vibes on Thomas are so low that if we are going to take both, taking.
I was going to say you might end up preferring Brenton Strange over a second receiver though here. Then, but you could end up with just all the Jags.
I think we're going to end up with a bunch of Jags to help get us through. Because we don't really need.
We need another receiver from Bills, Eagles, and so we'll either get like a Jahan Dotson or a Gabe Davis or a Keon Coleman or something disgusting.
Yeah. Is this a volume contest? In the sense that this is a contest where you want to, I would say, like, the more entries you can get for however much you want to risk, it is that type of format.
I mean, just like
right?
any best ball format is.
But it's especially volatile in some ways because your players are dead. Like to get, like you.
Yeah, just it's more vivid in the way that you lose.
It's more vivid, yeah, that's true.
But you lose like 80% of the time anyway in both formats. This one just like, I guess
you really
it's more evident
no dream.
to people.
Yeah, it's more evident. Yeah.
It's like, all right.
You want to go strange?
I think you do strange first here. Yes, I think the tight end is pretty important.
I do too. I mean, Goddard could have very few points in round one.
Right. Yeah, now we're in a pretty good spot, I would say. Yeah, getting that Barkley Cook start is just pretty comfy. It gives you access to such like high ceiling builds where all of a sudden you like have the super duper nuts for the Super Bowl. That's really, I guess, to like frame it better for people who are like, why don't you backdoor the Rams? It's like, because I'll have those backdoor Rams on different builds where I didn't get the full complement of the nuts, where I didn't get Puka and Adams and Kerrane, but where I got it as Adams and Stafford, and then I backdoored it with Quorum. And like, I'm always up one like really good Ram player on you when you're doing I'm just going to backdoor all the crappy Rams. Like, and there's so many teams like that exist in the tournament that it's so extraordinarily unlikely that you're going to show up and be a favorite. It can happen, and it can even win in years where, say, it's Rams Broncos Super Bowl and both of those teams get the bye, and so it's really hard to even field a full roster in the Super Bowl. So even just 5 players that are even alive, like, you barely care about the projection. You're just like, God, give me one of the high projected pieces, and I'm like so happy. Those things can happen, but again, we care about the frequency with which all of those events happen. And how much money you make when they happen. And it's just not really a positive expected value way to play the game.
There's just better things you can do.
Yeah, to always be playing for like the shitty version of it. It's like you'll cover the outcomes that make you all the money when the shitty team would make the money. You can have those covered anyway with a better version. Like that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah. So we've got this guy doing some real the Bills low scoring guys. Let's see. He's got Kincaid. So he's doing Rams, Bills. He's got Amon-Ra and Nico. So if the Lions make it,
yeah, that's fun.
Also, he's got as we talked about, the Lions correlated with the Rams not getting the bye. Mm-hmm. So this team could actually be really strong.
That is fun.
And I think if you do have an Amon-Ra and Kerrane week 1, then Keon Coleman and Gabe Davis hurt you less.
Yeah. So here we've got pretty decent projection now in our skill position players. So Trevor Lawrence is reasonable to help us advance a little bit. And if we do end up with Jags Super Bowl, that's
also
nice
gives us potentially, like we're looking at a Dobbs here. We could snipe this guy on Dobbs who's got Packers if we want that. If we want Dobbs, we should take him. Do we want Dobbs?
Yeah, you could do that. Go back to the draft board real quick and scroll down. Okay.
Because I think we have a Jags. No, we never got ETN, so I'm just.
Yeah, the other thing I was thinking of is
sorry, Packers guy.
Yeah, you could end up with Bashal Tootin late. I don't think you will, though. The other thing I was thinking of is maybe you backdoor a little Patriots in here. Maybe you fit a little Ormond. When you take Dobbs, you can't really fit that in anymore, probably. Because I think we're going to take Lawrence, and then we're going to take Lawrence. We need one more Bills or Eagles piece. And so then there's no more room for Ramondre. But basically, your other way you could go, which is less probability to advance, you take Ramondre over Dobbs, and then you end up with like a Mac Hollins or something silly. Or a Dotson.
Zach.
Dotson actually works there too. But
the Sims were in my brain.
Yeah.
You get Bashal Tootin.
Yeah, Tootin,
and then we have another Packers. We have Packers.
Bills piece, yeah.
Yeah, look at that. We still need a. Do we need it? Yeah, we need a Bills piece or a Eagles piece.
Bills piece or Eagles piece, yeah. But yeah, we're fine. We have Dotson and Palmer. Both of those guys. One of them may go, but both of them should not.
Yeah. I mean, anytime you can draft Bashal Tootin, you got to do it. God, I swear he's good, man. It's good. Get him on the field. I know he's fumbling now, which isn't great.
This could be a week where he gets some reps, right? They just absolutely run away with it, and
you'd hope.
And they're like, "All right, let's get you some run, Rook. Let's get you a little more seasoned."
You'd hope. I have some best ball teams that could use it. I for Ramondre, who's not playing well right now, I threw out the nickname Silent Thunder for him instead of Thunder and Lightning. Someone on Twitter said because he's also a fumbler, it should be Blunder and Lightning.
That's pretty good.
Which I think is quite a bit better. All right, we got a super chat here. We'll get to it in a minute. I'm going to answer how deep into the Packers wide receivers are you willing to go? Golden and Wicks on a Packers team.
So
pretty thin, but Wicks I think is okay.
I talked about this for like probably 30 minutes last night. Yeah, you do Tootin here. You should just watch the stream I did last night because this is a really long and complicated answer. But it's a very good question. And I think it deserves a very good answer, but I don't have 30 minutes of Packers wide receiver diatribe in me again. And I did just answer the question last night. So I would recommend watching that stream. I think it's pretty insightful.
Do you want to do Palmer or Park in Washington also pops up, but I kind of like Palmer.
Yeah, I'm good with Palmer.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do one more underdog. People are mentioning the San Francisco injury. I want to see.
It's just CMC popped up with a back injury.
I thought it was illness.
Let me look. Yeah, questionable with a back injury. Full participant on Friday.
I thought I saw limited.
He was limited Thursday, then full on Friday.
Oh, so the back injury must have popped up today.
Yeah.
Saturday edition, yeah. Okay, so that is pretty brutal. We'll see. It's all just people making the same joke. I can't find anything real. Source said it's minor and he expects to play. Per 24/7 Bay Area Sports News. That has 38 followers, though, so it's probably fake. Schefter. Is this the real Schefter? It is. He says, despite being added to the injury report today, is questionable due to a back injury. 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey is expected to be, quote, good to go Sunday versus the Titans. Okay. All right. Schefter says he's good to go. Better than Rap Sheet saying it's good to go, I would say. If you're going to pick one of those. Let's go to the gauntlet and close it out. Over on an underdog. Can you give us the abbreviated version of the Packers question? Oh, and before you do that, we got a super chat here. Start one. Woody Hendo Genti, right? No, it's probably Woody. God damn.
It's probably Woody.
That's the world we live in. It's probably Woody.
It's really gross. Yeah, they should just be up by a lot, though.
Yeah, we have Woody. We have Woody in the ranks, number one. So, which I did. This is my. I made this.
Who did this? Who ranked Woody above Hendo and Genti?
So yeah, it's Woody. All right. Yeah, can you do the abbreviated version?
Yeah, it's kind of like the thing that I described earlier of you're adding you're adding pie pieces, you're adding expected value to an outcome where you're already only playing for that outcome. Oftentimes, you're already only making lots of money when the Packers make the Super Bowl. And so, by every additional Packers player that you're adding, you're covering additional combos that could be the nuts in those outcomes. And if those outcomes are the only ones you're making lots of money in, and you're already strong to advance, and there's not a meaningful difference in your round one advance rate, getting a meaningful difference in your round three, like how high you place, is pretty important.
I'm getting a weird thing with Underdog.
Someone had a good question. Do the Sims change based on the contest format? Like the bigger mitten final last year, I got third place with only 3 players in the Super Bowl because 4 of the 10 people in the finals didn't have anyone. Yeah, in the bigger mitten last year, I think I did. Maybe I was bigger mitten too. I thought I was third or fourth or something. It's like a pretty solid payday. But yeah, I made it to the bigger mitten and no one had players in there. And so yes, the Sims do account for the specific tournament structure and the contest format.
In the Chiefs 49ers year, I won the big mitten, and it was I had everyone blocked. It was just like it was tough to get. Yeah, it was tough because that was the year they were both 1 seeds, I think. Chiefs 49ers. But because it's easier to advance in the big mitten, I was actually able to get the team that was sort of like the train that was like, but it was actually hard to get the full version. So I had like the CMC and Juwan Jennings, who was a big piece for us for that year, and then ended up being the nuts.
I was looking back at last year, just because I was trying to remember like exactly how last year went. I had people asking me about it, and I didn't realize this, but we had a sidekick sub win the mitten 2, and the mitten 3. I think.
Seriously?
Yeah. We basically won everything except the gauntlet last year. I don't think we won the big mitten or the bigger mitten or what have you.
I sent you a message. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Underdog's not cooperating. I'll try. Let me go to Firefox. See if.
Yeah, I haven't had that. Yeah, try Firefox. See if that works.
All right. Okay, I'm live. But I don't have the Sidekick installed on Firefox. So give me a second. Actually, I'll show the people. Let's see. Stop sharing. Share this. Share screen. Window. All right, so I'm going to go to Legendary Upside. Install Sidekick. And the Sidekick is installed. So here we go.
Perfect.
So pretty easy.
Yeah.
We're out of the 2 hole.
You should zoom in a little bit on fire.
Yeah. My bad.
You're good.
All right.
Okay,
so last one.
I know.
Over and under.
Daladino is sharp, and Bo Sox is sharp. So.
JSN feel good?
Yeah, I'm pretty into JSN. Yeah, basically if I'm in the first 3 picks, I'm picking one of JSN, CMC, or Puka. If you really wanted me to get a wild hair, maybe I would do something like take a Saquon Barkley in the first, but I don't really think you benefit very much from that. And I'd rather just take Josh Allen in, the 4th spot, and I don't really want to take James Cook before Allen's off the board. Like you're never getting him back there. Because really the only thing I'm super happy to take Cook without Allen is when I'm getting those high projected running backs, like Cook Jacobs or Cook Barkley.
101 CMC is not crazy, right?
No,
It's just
totally
such a
fine.
strong advance rate piece. Plus, it's not like a round 1 advance. When we say advance rate, we're talking like could get you through to the conference championship round and still be live. Even though I'm not a huge fan of his Super Bowl equity, I think it definitely exists. Now, who do you think my number 2 pick here is after Kerrane?
I mean, it'll mix up here between Harvey, Henderson, and May. Yeah.
Do we take Kerrane?
Do
you want Harvey?
I think I kind of like Harvey a little better.
Do you want to do a Broncos thing?
I kind of want to do a Broncos thing.
Okay.
You can do Kerrane here, and then you're not beholden to Broncos, and you could go like Texans or Jags later. But the Broncos have pretty good.
We haven't
odds,
done Broncos all day.
Yeah,
we've done a bunch
have
of these
really good odds.
Literally, I don't think we've taken a Broncos. So
yeah, we'll let Kerrane go through to this Puka guy.
How much do you think Eagles prices will rise when and if they have a dominant game from Hurts? I don't really want to get into the 2027 best ball slate. I don't know. I mean, I guess I am serious, like in a way. Like I'm not. What are they going to have a dominant game from Hurts? Feels so thin. What do you think about Hendo? And then we place 2 Seattle Super Bowls, basically.
Yeah, I like that. Pretty well. Because now we've guaranteed that one of these running backs is active in round 1, so we mitigate that bye risk.
Puka, May, Henderson, Diggs, Corum, a good start.
You're probably going to have a hard time advancing if you're in a 1 of 6. If you're in a 2 of 6, you might be able to make something work.
I think you don't do Corum, and then you try because you have Ramondre out later.
You can push Corum and wait for Corum or Ramondre.
That advance rate piece that's like definitely going to make the playoffs is pretty valuable.
Yeah.
In round 5 there.
I agree.
Broncos are discount Patriots and Bills. That's, I think, a good way to put it. They're almost discount Texans now. I guess Harvey goes first, but
yeah, I mean the Broncos have much higher Super Bowl odds than. I mean, the Broncos are 40% to make the conference championship compared to Buffalo is only 32%. And then you
wait, say that again. Broncos are what?
Broncos are 40% to make the conference championship, where the Bills are only 32%. Patriots are 46%. And then the Texans are 27%. So I mean, if anything, the Bills are discount Broncos. They just happen to have, 2 players on them that score fantasy points, or the Broncos have like half a player that scores fantasy points.
Right. Any players you think that are going undrafted that shouldn't be? Should we go Walker here, by the way?
Yeah, Walker's very good for us here.
Yeah.
Players that are going undrafted that shouldn't be. Right now, there's not as many. I mean, like in certain circumstances, yes. But like universally, no, there's not really like a player that should be drafted in 100% of drafts that's going undrafted. Pearsall is Yeah, fine, but in the stuff where you're gonna go like 549ers.
So we could take Darnold now, but we can probably push him. Would you want to go like an ETN or something?
No, I think you do Darnold here actually because I think he's so important to this team because we're
You're
not
just
gonna
completely
go.
dead if you don't have
Yeah,
Darnold.
and the opportunity cost isn't particularly high, and we don't care about the thing is like if we needed the running back points, then sure, but like we don't really need the running back points. We need wide receiver pretty badly.
We talked about Hurts falling, and man, he has fallen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need wide receiver pretty badly. I'd be into Hurts here if he makes it back just as a advance rate piece.
I don't know that you need him because you still have Bo Nix available too, and Bo Nix.
Oh, good point. Good
Not
point.
that he's anything like Hurts from a projection standpoint, but if you're going to get a second quarterback, it might as well be one that could give you extra equity in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So there goes Ramondre. I think you do Brian Thomas and Jacoby Myers here.
And their ADP is actually the same over here, so I'm just going to take Thomas.
Yeah. And then I'm pretty interested in Pat Bryant too on this team.
It's pivoted us pretty hard back to
it wants us to build. It wants us to fill out the Seahawks.
But won't we anyway?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So couldn't we take Jacoby anyway?
Yep.
All right, let's take Jacoby.
This is like the exact kind of spot where it's not bad to fill out, the Seahawks, but you can accomplish that and get these Jags pieces that you wouldn't get later.
Yeah. All right. Answer some more questions here. Do you guys have any Bears teams? Not really drafting a ton of the Bears right now. Do you?
Nope.
Yeah. Would be nice if the Eagles could get to the Super Bowl. Nice if the Eagles could get Super Bowl Hurts. Oh, yeah. No, I agree. Super Bowl Hurts only shows up in the Super Bowl or the playoffs sometimes, but not in the regular season. Jordan James, he's not going to be active, is he? Oh, you're saying if CMC's out. God, I have some big board teams that could use Jordan James.
Yeah, same.
Shaheed?
Yeah, Shaheed's good here. I think you're fine to mix between Cup and Shaheed, by the way. I know that you are, predisposed to IKB to Shaheed, but I think that is an important feature of the Sims to make sure that you don't show up to the Seahawks Super Bowl where Cooper Kupp catches 2 really stupid touchdowns. You're like, no.
No, that is what I'm trying to do. Because I'm not drafting Cooper Kupp. But you're right. That would have been a spot to. And you saw Shaheed was actually ahead of Kupp before, and then he flipped. So it's all very.
Yeah, Charbonnet's good for us here.
I think having both Seattle backs is pretty nice.
I think it's very good. Yeah.
So and this has. Do we have a second Super Bowl, or is this just another out? It's just if we get Seattle Super Bowl, we have 2 outs. Yeah. I think I might IKB to Kupp now.
You could also IKB to Bryant to get additional equity because your receivers in a Seattle-Denver Super Bowl are just JSN Shaheed. It's not unfathomable for Bryant to outscore Shaheed. And I'd
rather have Kupp than Shaheed or than
Bryant.
Bryant.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah, that gives you more equity the vast majority of the time. I'm just pretty Bryant pilled. I think that it's hard to put the inputs in the Sims on Bryant as high as I would like to be. Because I think there's outcomes where it's like, oh, this is the Michael Thomas role, like by ear. Think through like Broncos make the run, and it's like, oh, and this rookie has just like come on and he's earning all the stuff.
He's flashed nothing so far though. I don't think Bryant's really anything.
I don't. Yeah, he hasn't done anything particularly great, but no pass catcher on the Broncos has, and Sean
Franklin
Payton
has, which is the frustrating thing. Is
But
that
then
Franklin?
then he
Yeah, he
got sent
fumbles and
back to the
does dumb
shadow
stuff.
realm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I know.
I think it's so much, dude. The Sean Payton offenses are really just like, who's Sean Payton's BFF, you know? And like Pat Bryant
Yeah.
could be Sean Payton's new BFF by the time that these contests are resolving.
Anything jump out to you from this board?
Oh, let's see. Guy in the one hole, I like doing, like, just getting into the Texans really early, just being like, hey, that's my Texans. Get away from those. That's good when you get the Puka, Kyron stuff, and you don't have Stafford, and we blocked the Harvey out, and May is gone. I think that's
Yeah,
what you
I kind of
do.
like this dude's team in the one hole.
Yeah, that's good. Let's see what else. Oh, you get the Cook Jacobs thing out of the 5 hole, and then you get all the Packers.
Then he got Hurts too.
Then he gets Hurts.
Just as a extra little.
Yeah, just his extra advanced stuff. And then he tacks on Hunter Henry for Patriots, and then he even gets down to the Emmanuel Wilson for Packers. So he went really deep on Packers too. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, 1 and 5 are both really good. Let's see. What is the 6? 6 is not advancing unless the Chargers make the playoffs, which is, can happen.
Probably will.
Yeah. And then, yeah, the 4 like just ruined it with Lions for no real reason there. I would have probably preferred anything other than Lions there. Like if he sniped the guy on Jaden Reed, that's a lot better for him than Gibbs, I think.
Well, but I mean, if the Lions make it, he's advancing.
Sure. Yeah. He's got a really good losing. No, he doesn't, because there's no James Cook, no Khalil Shakir, and the Lions are free right now. So you having Lions doesn't do anything for you, because the other people who have Lions, because there are many people drafting them, the other people who have Lions have Josh Allen, James Cook, all the Lions, right?
No, yeah, it's purely advance rate for him.
Yeah, it just doesn't.
He's hoping to get Allen, Barkley, Brown, Smith.
And it's like he has no bye players. Like you don't need this. You don't need the Lions to be the advance rate thing. Yeah. Just take Jaden Reed. He helps with advance rate too. Like not as much as Jahmyr Gibbs does if he makes it, but he at least gives you some Super Bowl equity. You can get into because you could easily have done like a little replace these 3 Lions with 2 Packers. You go Reed and then Emmanuel Wilson, and then you throw an extra Bill on the fire. It's like, okay, now you've got a pretty interesting way to play that Super Bowl where you're not dead without, you don't have Cook and Jacobs. You take Emmanuel Wilson and you're alive now all of a sudden. Like you just squeezed a ton of extra juice out of that matchup because Emmanuel Wilson, like in the outcomes where Josh Jacobs is injured, like is a very strong piece to have in that Super Bowl. And you're not dead as a projection dog, to the teams that have the James Cook and Jacobs, because you're also not getting Allen, Cook, and Jacobs. Like those aren't happening really.
Right. Right. All right, let's answer just a couple questions to close it out. May is a single quarterback. I'm not doing that. This is a common question. You just draft one of the bye teams like they're not getting the bye. I don't think that's so great. I think the better thing to do is probably to draft. Actually, like we just saw, someone went May Knicks, and then you definitely have one of the guys, and one of the guys has the bye, and obviously that helps their Super Bowl probability. So that's probably the way to go. But would you ever do that? Would you just go solo Stafford, solo May?
No, not particularly. Let me find. I think that's more a question about when should I be taking a second quarterback in general. Is something that is better to know than like, should I take a second quarterback with May or should I go solo May? Like, I think having a better understanding of the framework of what informs you to like take a second quarterback is probably more helpful advice. I actually wrote something in the Discord the other day. So if you're in the LegUp Discord, I think this can be a useful thing, just to like help inform you as to what the Sims are thinking through and how to kind of have a framework for it in your head. But I basically said the general guide for when it should be 2 quarterbacks versus 1 is the worse your quarterback would project relative to other quarterbacks, the more likely you should have a second. And then the weaker your skill position group is relative to what the average team in a given round would look like, the more likely you should just have 1 quarterback because you need that extra spot for skill position points.
Yeah.
And then the more likely your quarterback is to have a bye, the more likely you need to be to take a second quarterback. And then if a second quarterback has a reasonably high Super Bowl probability and fills out a matchup for you that you didn't otherwise have, or is a second quarterback in your primary Super Bowl matchup where you have very strong skill position players relative to what the field would have, you should be more likely to take a second quarterback. So those types of things I think are more helpful to you as a drafter rather than just giving you a statement that's like, do or don't take a second quarterback with by team A or by team B, because by the time that you're trying to apply that advice, the probabilities have probably changed. And all of a sudden that advice is no longer relevant. And so I think it's better to learn how to think through it yourself. And so that's why, number one, drafting with the Sims will help. It is kind of like training with a poker solver, where the tool itself is very strong, but then when you as the human start to better understand the tool and how to best leverage it, and you can start putting your own skill expression in there by reading the room and thinking through the game tree and like what the next logical best picks could be given certain outcomes, like that's how you really level up and get to a pretty fun spot in playoff best ball.
100%. Let's see. Anything else? There was a question. Okay, we might close with this. If you aren't taking any Bears, should you be taking any Lions? Because they're going to be negatively correlated in terms of their playoff.
So what happens to the Bears price when the Bears are making the playoffs for sure?
I guess they go up a little, but I don't think they go up a lot. Nothing
happens. You still get all because this is not a game where you're just like, oh man, the Bears really went up in price. Now I got to pay extra for DeAndre Swift. The way you're playing bets in this game is on a team by team level, typically. So if the Bears all move up in price from undrafted to now they're going in the last 2 rounds, it's like, cool, I needed to take 4 of them anyway. So I'm going to just take them in round 6. It doesn't matter to me that they don't go at pick 60 anymore by ADP and they go at pick 53. Like, I'm going to start taking them in the 40s or the 30s anyway, because that's where I need to build a coherent team that's taking advantage of that bet. So you gain nothing right now by drafting them when there's more uncertainty. And also, like, the reason we don't like them is not just because there's uncertainty if they make the playoffs. It's part of the reason there's even uncertainty if they make the playoffs is because they're a weak team. Like, they're not
a weak team. Yeah. So we don't love them to make a run. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing, is that it's about one of those teams making a run. So both teams might not make the playoffs, and then we don't love their chances of making a run.
And that's exactly why we really like the Lions in conjunction with the Rams, because the Lions are a strong team. They're extremely strong. And so what you lose when the Rams lose the bye, they lose conference championship probability. Right now we have the Rams conference championship probability right about 58%, 57.6%. They make the conference championship. If they lose the bye, that decreases a bunch, right? Like, for example, the Eagles have almost no chance at a bye. We do have the Rams modeled as stronger than the Eagles, but the Eagles are down at like 23%. So you'd cut the Rams not necessarily in half, but like you'd probably lop off a solid 30% of their probability to make the conference championship, right? But what you gain by the Rams losing the bye and dropping that conference championship probability is the Lions conference championship probability goes up so much because they're a strong team. So when the Lions actually make it into the playoffs, we like them to make a run. They make runs a lot when they make it into the playoffs. They just don't get into the playoffs all that often. And so that's where you're losing all this conference championship probability. But right now, the Lions are 46% to make the playoffs by our model with an 11% conference championship probability. So if you just are quick back of the napkin mathing and saying, okay, well, if the Lions basically double their probability to make the playoffs. You know, if they're a near lock, now they're going to be close to like 22, 23% conference championship probability. And so all of a sudden it's like, darn, my Rams are less likely to make it. And then you're like, that's okay, because I've got my Lions that are now
they're more likely to play week 1. So you're
Right.
still, now you have the equity of them advancing you.
And so they soak up all that. And so then you get to do that in conjunction with like a Texans or a Jaguars or even a Broncos or something. And now you've built a thing where you don't even need Stafford as the quarterback, because you can play it through that AFC side of the quarterback. And then you have Lions or Rams, whichever makes the Super Bowl, with my AFC bet. You know what's pretty fun? Just do naked Drake May with as many Rams and Lions as you can get. And then like the roster spots the roster spots you have left over, you fill out with a random Patriot here or there when there's no opportunity cost to you.
What? Why? But you still don't have a quarterback, right?
Oh yeah. You would need you probably need Jared Goff there.
You need Goff.
Use Goff.
Yeah, you go Goff as your. So you're not naked. You're naked from you're not taking a bunch of Patriots, but you're
right.
Yeah. Okay. That's a very fun note to end on. I got to run now, but this is a really fun stream. Thanks for sticking around and watching us draft some playoff best ball. We'll be back. I think Monday we're going to try to do another stream here, fresh off the full week 15 slate minus one of the games. So we're gonna have a lot of different takes on the way to draft these teams the next time you see us. But that's kind of the fun of drafting in these various windows. Good luck in week 15. Good luck in your playoff best ball drafts. Hope no one snipes you, and we'll see you soon.